Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Canoo VP of Investor Relations, Kamal Hamid.
Hi, good morning, everyone, and thanks for attending. We're really excited to have you here. My name is Kamal Hamid. I'm the Vice President of Investor Relations. And on behalf of the management team and all of the Canoo members that are here, we'd really like to thank you, both those of you who are here in person and those of you who are joining us via our live stream. Here at Canoo, we like to take an uncommon approach. That's why we're one of the first companies to come out of the box to be hosting an in-person event. So thank you all for making it. We did this because we think it's important for you to meet and get to know the members of our team and also experience our incredible vehicles. In order to appreciate our unique approach to engineering, design, and utility as we bring EVs to everyone. Now, just a quick housekeeping item. Let me read our forward-looking statement. Okay, during this presentation, we may make forward-looking statements based on current expectations. These are subject to a number of significant risks and uncertainties, and our actual results may differ materially. For a discussion of factors that could affect our future financial results and business, please refer to the disclosures in our most recent Form 10Q and 10K and 8Ks we may file them with the SEC from time to time. All of our statements are made as of today, June 17th, 2021, based on information currently available. Except as required by law, we assume no obligation to update any such statements. And now, with that fun part out of the way, let me tell you what attracted me to Canoo. I've been involved in investor relations in the auto ecosystem for over 15 years, including 8 years with our CEO, Tony Aquila, at a previous company. And what I saw was an industry at the point of a historic inflection from one form of propulsion that was not sustainable and damaging to the environment to a clean, sustainable form through electrification. I saw Canoo's technology, and that created a basis for a competitive advantage and an expansive business model. And I knew the leadership and believed in our ability to become a successful global EV OEM. So I'm thrilled to be here at Canoo, and we'll take advantage of the massive global shift to EVs with the most innovative vehicles that are out there in a highly differentiated business model. Today we have an exciting agenda for you. First, Tony will describe our view of the market and the opportunity we see in front of us and how we plan to grow significant long-term shareholder value. Then Pete Savagian will take you through our engineering. Frank Fago will take you through manufacturing. Mark Aikman, our go-to-market strategy. Christian Treiber, our customer journey, and then our finance folks will give you a glimpse into what we see in the future. For those of you that are viewing via live stream, encourage you to submit questions via the chat functions on the right of the video. Enter your name in the designated field and submit, then type in your question. With that, let me turn the stage over to Tony Aquila, our Chairman and CEO.
Thanks everyone for attending today. Today's a pretty awesome day for us at Team Canoo. Everybody's worked super hard for this day. I mean, this is like it's like bringing things to life. So it's like a birthday in a way. We've done some amazing things in a very short time, and we're very committed to the United States and manufacturing and advanced manufacturing. So we want to bring EVs to the world, to everyone. And we want to win. And we want to design products that inspire people to change the way they think about mobility. And I think you'll see today that we've, because of our past experiences and so on, you'll see us do some things differently. But before I get into anything, one of the things we all do here is we tell everybody what our vehicle is in Canoo. So this is one of the vehicles that I will be having, because I like being outdoors. and venturing, and of course doing it on EV is pretty cool. So when you see the presenters coming up, they'll often have a vehicle that's them identifying themselves as the type of buyer they are in the customer journey. So with that, got some little change up in the lineup today. And what I'd like to do is give an update on some things that everybody's been kind of questioning, writing, speculating, and all that stuff. And so if you think back to the earnings calls and all the messages we've sent about that, we've been working to figure out the best way to manufacture and do it advanced, dynamic, and in the new way. And where would that be? How would that be? And how to do it so you can deliver a global product. And so without further ado, I'd like to explain to you guys that we have picked the awesome state of Oklahoma to manufacture and we picked the state of Oklahoma, but honestly, I think in many ways they also picked us. We have been so impressed. We met with many states. We spent millions of dollars, time, resources to figure this out. And we wanted to be in the best place in the United States. And you know, in 2008, I migrated a lot of jobs to Texas before anybody else out of Silicon Valley because my employees couldn't buy homes. And we saw just a better future, so we came to Texas. And you know, we've always, as innovators, we've always been to go somewhere before the wave hits. And you know, we believe, I believe, that Oklahoma is in that next wave. Texas is growing at the seams, and we want to be where the puck's going, not where the puck is. And so we're pretty darn excited. We thank Texas for everything it's done for us, but now we're planting our trees in Oklahoma. And of course, you'll be seeing OU vehicles looking pretty cool. It'll be a partnership at many levels. And before I get into that, first of all, this deal is about making it work and making it successful. So the commitment that we got out of them is just head and shoulders above. And so what I'd like to do is just give you a little more insight about the location. This location, it's on 400 acres. This is an image of what the site will look like. It's in a very green belted area. It's in a very strategic location. If you look at where it's located, it's where some of the Fortune 500 powerhouses that think about moving goods their businesses are centered. So it's a hub that is, we think, going to grow like crazy. And in addition to that, it puts you dead center for logistics and movement across North America. So you can get anywhere, same day, back. So it's pretty important. So Pryor, Oklahoma is the site. I think you guys will hear much more about it. It's a really cool area, and we're pretty excited to do it. It's 45 minutes from Tulsa. It's 45 minutes from Bentonville, and it's close to Oklahoma City and Little Rock and Dallas. So it's got a great little triangle. We think these markets are big bull markets, and they're the future markets. So it's a business-friendly state, and we're going to bring a lot of jobs. And we're going to work to bring a lot of higher education in EV and EV technology. And without any further ado, I'd like to introduce Governor Stitt and thank his team for what they've done. So Governor, would you like to come on up?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tony. We are over the moon excited in the state of Oklahoma for a couple reasons. But, number one, Tony, you are a tremendous entrepreneur, visionary, and we are so excited to partner with you. So the first time I met you, we had a we had a connection.
Yeah.
And then my team, we flew out to California and we visited their R&D facility, all their great employees, saw their technology. I could go on and on about how awesome this platform is, and the drive-by-wire technology and the innovation that you're bringing to the automotive industry. Oklahoma's just excited to be a part of it. So we're super pumped. But choosing Oklahoma, we think we are the flavor of the month, and we are the right place for manufacturing. We have the lowest electricity cost in the entire country. We are all of the above energy approach, but 40% of our electricity generation comes from wind. And so great platform there. Google, you're going to be right next to Google at the Pryor Industrial Park. It's one of their largest facilities in the country. But we're just so excited to have you here. Oklahoma has 100 years of pioneering and innovation, and we are excited to diversify our economy, to partner with you guys, and we know it's going to be tremendous success. You're going to change the face of our state.
We are so excited, Governor. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Governor Stitt is one of the most innovative governors we met with in all the states that we went with, and he has a vision about bringing EV clean tech into the communities and making it better. And so we're working on all kinds of projects. There's going to be a lot more to announce, but it's a deep partnership. But I want to give special thanks to Scott Mueller from his team, who is a real entrepreneur. Scott, one thing that we found about the state of Oklahoma is it's ran by entrepreneurs. You know, these guys have all been businessmen, and when you deal with governors, some of them, they're great, there's great American spirit across the board, but these guys, they want to do something, and they want to be on that cutting edge. In addition to that, I'd like to recognize Bon, his right hand. Everybody knows the importance of a right hand. And then Joe. Joe is the president of OU University. And of course, we'll have a deep commitment with the university. You guys all saw we announced our first spoke, but we'll be working with Joe for the hub. And so I want to, on behalf of everybody at Canoo, we want to thank you for everything that you've done for us, the amount of time you've spent. And I got to tell you guys, if you haven't been there, you should go there and check it out. It's really coming together in Tulsa and all throughout that area of the state. So.
Well, again, and thank you for your team, and I do want to just echo Scott Mueller and all of his work in our Commerce Department. And it's about a relationship, and so we want to make sure that we do everything we can. That's why we have the University of Oklahoma with Joe here, and our commitment to provide the workforce. And that's the thing that all manufacturers tell us that move and are already in Oklahoma. It's our workforce, and so we are committed to make you the next Henry Ford of EV vehicles, all right?
We are into that, brother. There's a lot of support from the business community, which we also want to echo our thanks and appreciation for them. In addition to that, our master architect of the whole process is Alec Lath from Bradley and Company. Without his team and their continuous effort, they've been doing this for months, nothing but. And with their guidance and counsel, they've put some of the best deals together that are very financially successful. And we wanted to get with somebody who has a track record of putting together partnerships between the state governments and industry. And Alec's track record spans some of the best deals, particularly in automotive. So Alec, thank you very much, brother. So with that, we'll give a quick signing, if that's okay with you, Governor. If you want to initial the pages, and then we just sign on the back. Guys, Governor made a special trip just to come down here for this. And of course, it's always great for somebody from Oklahoma to fish a fish out of Texas.
Hey, did I tell you that Oklahoma's a step above Texas?
So thanks everyone for that. We really appreciate you all coming. Okay. We'd now see if the lag here, there you go.
The future is built by those who dream. Unmatched flexibility with world-class craftsmanship. Using state-of-the-art technology, meeting European quality standards, and total logistical precision. What defines us is our over 50 years of experience working with different cultures in one of the smartest regions in the world. Our state-of-the-art manufacturing plant, a one-stop shop from single prototype production to high-volume manufacturing. Whether it's single or split production, whether it's completely or semi-knocked down, or completely built up. Proudly made in the Netherlands. Organized to build multiple platforms on the same production line with outstanding testing facilities. What sets us apart? We embrace complexity, work on solutions, and make the impossible possible with cost efficiency and short time to market. Our optimized warehouse on wheels, perfecting just-in-time and just-in-sequence logistics, minimizing both stock and storage. Our extensive network and close proximity to Europe's top part suppliers, enabling any manufacturing process and the opportunity to grow. In a stable economy, fully compliant with Europe's sustainable ambitions, and excellent infrastructure by water, road, rail, and air, offering easy access to the world. What distinguishes us is our passion to produce cars with a world-class after-sales network, proven distribution channels, and reliable logistic partners. Everything you need, all in one place. Proud to be chosen by startups and scale-ups. Pleased with our top JD Power rating, year after year. What inspires us is a more sustainable future, using VDL Group's extensive knowledge and experience, innovating the entire mobility chain, enabling unimaginable driving experiences, realizing your wildest dreams. We are makers, innovators, and game changers. And if we can make all of this today, imagine what we can make tomorrow.
So we promised that we would bring announcements to everyone when they're meaningful, when they're real, and they're powerful, and rather than kind of just light news. We're in it for the long run. I'm in it for the long run. And we had to come up with a method to do manufacturing for the short term and for geographic expansion. So remember I talked about that in the beginning. So we come out of the aftermarket. We work for every OEM for 25 plus years. Every insurance company, everybody in the automotive industry. So we've had the privilege of seeing vehicles over life. So a lot of what we do is inspired by the best of what we see out there. And we wanted to pick somebody that we could be important to, not just another somebody in a tier 1 supplying network. We've invested in, I've been an investor in the Netherlands in businesses very successfully. It's adjacent to Germany, and it has an incredible workforce. It's a very innovative place. They understand Anglo ways, American ways. They're very advanced this way. And as we looked exhaustively around the world. Why? Because in the short term, we want vehicles delivered in 2022. As you saw here with this project we are doing with Governor Stitt and his team, it's going to take us a little while to get the factory online. But while we are doing that, we'll be building our cars and bringing them back here for that term. After that happens, that site will convert to shipping vehicles inside of Europe. It's perfectly located. Look, we're not a big volume manufacturer, but we had to crack all the codes to be efficient. We don't have the purchasing power of a big guy, but we eliminated parts to do that. We're not going to try to do things we can't do. We wanted to work with an entrepreneurial company that is thinking about manufacturing in multiple top hats. And these guys were one of the innovators, top quality, and have worked for some of the best brands. We will be taking the leading position with them, and they have the ability to grow. So it's ran by two entrepreneurs, a father and a son, Wim and Willem. And when we make a deal, it's two people doing this on their side and one on ours. And it really became the right choice on many levels. And we'll give you some more insight into that. But without further ado, I'd like the CEO from VDL Nedcar to come in. Hey, John. Hey, John. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing?
Good. Good. So you heard our opening remarks about you guys, and really excited to introduce you and your team. Would you like to share a little bit about VDL Nedcar?
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you, Tony. And again, you and I have worked very intensively over the last period, but it's still great to hear your pitch. And every time I hear it, I get excited again and again and again. So, about VDL Nedcar. So VDL Nedcar is part of a bigger conglomerate, as you already mentioned. It's a family-owned business, 105 companies put together by Wim van Leegte, as you mentioned. VDL Nedcar is one of them. It has a 50-plus years history. Worked with several large OEMs. Per today, we're still working with BMW, but I think it's known to everybody that the contract with BMW will end by 2023, and obviously, we're working on our future to make sure that there is a long-term future again. And I think that's how you and I came together. And I think there were a lot of matches between yourself as an entrepreneur. I think the governor already mentioned that, and the family van der Leegte. And I was talking to them only yesterday evening, Tony, and Willem said to me, he said, John, we've already closed many deals in the 53 years of existence, but this is really a unique one. And I think, and I've seen it from very close by, how it worked, I think there was clearly a click between yourself and the VDL family, both entrepreneurs, both self-made men, and then there's also a clear level of trust, and I think that's how the deal was done. So in that sense, we're really excited to engage with you. I think you have a unique concept, highly innovative. I think that will provide Canoo a great future, and we are very excited to be part of that journey, because I think it will also give us a long-term future. And you said it before, Tony, you're in for the long run. That's definitely also one of the characteristics of VDL. So I think it's, how do you say that in English? It's a match made in heaven, and I really believe so. So yeah.
So I'd like to just say a few things. One of the things in our criteria was the longevity of the management team running the company, right? Because our young management team, we wanted to know that we would grow a business together with our partner. And as I got to know John, I mean, he just stood out heads and shoulders above all the other CEOs of the businesses, Wim and Willem, just real entrepreneurs. We just this deal was on handshake, and then it went to paper. And the company is very well capitalized. They understand how to do this. The Netherlands has some of the best logistics capabilities, some of the best tax structures to really optimize our ability to kind of compete and win. Of course, our product lineup fits very well for Europe. Europe's in a high demand. But one of the things that was a criteria was about the team. So I said to John, well, John, for those of you that are familiar with Europe, there's labor contracts and all that stuff. And I said, look, John, I got to know, you're going to be here looking after stuff. And I said, so tell me what's your agreement? He goes, Tony, let me just tell you this much. I have so much respect for this family. I signed my contract. I didn't even read it. And he said, I would work for them if they didn't pay me. And that just created a chain reaction. And then it just went through every person in his team. But we trust each other. We're going to do great things together. And, the expertise and quality and the awards they've won, if you look at their manufacturing method, it fits with where we're going. So we'll be able to share technologies. And in addition to that, you noticed maybe in the videos that the VDL part builds buses and other things in the electric and hydrogen, as well as shipping and automation, moving of containers and equipment in that category. So there's lots of ways for us to work together. So we want to not only have somebody we have a vendor relationship with, but we want to have a partnership with at multiple levels. And we found that in VDL Nedcar. So phase one is VDL Nedcar, with them pivoting after phase one to get us in the market. We're going to deliver 1,000 units. The team is already underway. Pete and I will be heading back to the Netherlands with Richard and Sohail, and we'll be taking this to the next level in the next set of days to get the team fully executing on everything. But then they will pivot to service the market in Europe while the factory comes online here. Because if you really want to win, you're going to have to solve the problem to get to market fast. And you got to get to it at scale with quality, and you got to have the flexibility without knocking your CapEx, out of sight. So we caught things very well. And John, please tell the team. Look forward to seeing you guys soon.
I will definitely convey this message to the team over here. And actually, Tony, I would love to be with you over there, but we'll soon make it up in the near future. So
sounds good. Thank you. All right, brother. Talk to you. Bye. Okay, so everybody who's been speculating, now you can understand why we were making the comments we were making. And again, I just reiterate, our style will be big news or no news, real news or no news. We're long-term shareholders, and we're very focused on doing that, building strength and the ability to take market share with innovative products and platforms. We want to democratize this and get the EV to everyone. We're very passionate about the working people. And in addition to that, we focused on a product lineup that fits in the gaps of everybody else's product lineup, because our mission was to take the turning radius of, like a Prius, the size of a Ford Ranger, and a payload of a F-150, and sell it as one vehicle. And to have a platform that you can drop top hats onto on an assembly line on a common platform. And there's 3 key elements to what we do, and we'll talk to you about that. So it's really an amazing time to be in automotive, because you got a chance to do things very differently, and you have a chance to really bring it to a technology level to make a customer's experience much better. So the automotive model is broken, as we all kind of know. It's unpleasant to go through the car buying experience. 10% of the nameplates make up 60% of the global passenger car profit market. So look, our price point, is very well thought through. we're really focused on customer acquisition, customer journey, and getting to the second and third owners of the vehicle. But in this market, 70–80% of the vehicle lifetime profit is generated after the first owner. Most OEMs are like not really paying attention to that, and they're trying to today to get better at it, but their technology is not designed. It's designed to move steel. And what we wanted to do is move a customer through mobility and protect them and have a real meaning, and also make sure we're a profitable company. We have a track record of building profitable companies in the automotive and aviation space, and we're taking a very disciplined approach to the way we do the business model. So that's the reason for some of the pivots. Today we'll make them a little more clear. But 4 out of 10 of the U.S. car buyers, if we just take U.S., completely dissatisfied. And that number goes up and down between 4 and 6. The traditional OEMs, this is how they're generating money. So very few models actually make money in the customer, and it's really geared towards the first owner. Somewhat, resale market, but the dealers are the ones doing the resale work. In this particular model, we look at it very differently. So we look at getting the vehicle, much like Steve Jobs and others, Jeff Bezos looked at getting in a relationship. It's a big foothold. Mobility is important, and if you think of mobility around the world, and it happened here in the US, but a household's income will go up 25 times the first vehicle they get. It has a massive impact on the way they do things. We wanted to focus on the vehicles that were growing in share globally and that had the highest margin and the best customer utilization and the highest demand on the platform, because that would make us build an awesome product. And if we could build a vehicle that had the turning radius of a Prius and the size of a small truck and the payload of a large pickup, you could take that vehicle anywhere in the world because it'll go on any road. The reason why big trucks in America can't go anywhere else because they can't turn. The Roman roads, the Mayan roads, the Incan roads, it just doesn't work. So coming out of the space we come out of, we understand that, so our product line is very focused. But then what we want to do is we want to give people a real technology experience in managing this asset and managing it to their best capabilities for their interest. So we're very focused on their interest, how to give them the maximum return on capital and enjoyment in the mobility journey. In addition to that, we want to be the people that facilitate a seamless transaction between the first owner, the second owner, the third owner, because EVs will change the lifespan of vehicles. When you go out there and you see from Charlie and the team, when they show you the technology that we've done, you'll see very few moving parts. It's very well engineered. It's got long life, high horsepower on demand. It's got 70 parts. It's 200 pounds and it fits in a Toomey suitcase. And it's got 350 horsepower. It's pretty incredible what's been done here. But if you can get to make that transaction from the first to the second owner, you really won their loyalty because you helped them make the transaction. And make it transparent. There's no need for Carfax because we do all the data transactions, so we certify the vehicle. In addition to that, you'll see the model we have for going to market uses the infrastructure that's in place, but with a different model. So they're not trying to think about making money. We're not going to announce this piece today, but we will shortly, about how we will engage with our partners to deliver the vehicles, upfit the vehicles, and penetrate the household of the fleet in a household and how that relationship will work. So we're not trying to do it all alone, but we want it to be an 80% technology journey. That's what people want. The other thing that we were very fanatical about is, and comes from our prior life, is that the typical vehicle has, just way too many chips, way too many different code bases because it's an assembly of vendors. Since 2016, I looked at who I would invest in, and it was all about the chassis to us. Why? because the operating software layer between that chassis and the top hat and the customer is really critical. But if I have to decipher code that is deharmonized and polluted, it's a lot of effort. And so what we want to do is find somebody who's building their own engine. This is henceforth a mega micro factory element of our strategy, because if we can make that chassis, we decide one chip maker for our set of chips. We use half as many chips. We can write code that could protect you. What's erupting in Europe right now, so we all heard about ransomware in the United States on the bigger company side. But already in Europe, they're accessing your vehicle, shutting it down, and you got to buy to start your engine again. You come out from a restaurant, and you got to have some Bitcoin to get your car running again. And they target people. So this is a big thing that's happening. This will only happen more. And it really becomes that you got to be a cybersecurity, high-tech company. And you got to know that every bit of data that comes out of that engine, you certified that chip. You certified all the code architecture and how it's protected, and the entry points are minimized. So we've invested lots of time and money in this space from other business experiences, as well as what we're focusing on here. This is going to be a big thing. As you know, many vehicles have to return to the dealership to get flashed on these attacks, which is a real inconvenience. It hurts customer loyalty, and it's a bad experience. Tesla innovated on over-the-air. Everything we do possible is designed to be done over the air. So, this is something, as those of you think about automotive, it's not just about, getting the cheapest parts, assembling them, giving you a great infotainment system, but you want to be protected. You can be listened to, you can be watched, you can be hacked, and you can be shut down. So this will become an issue. Europe is already legislating activity around this, and we're on the forefront of this. So if you kind of look at, will these startups make it? Will those at dinner last night, people were kind of speculating. One thing I know this much is the DNA of a business model is like roots in the ground. And the DNA for the big guys is tough because they got the old model and they're trying to figure out how to get to the digital model. So we came out of the world in the automotive space where our EBITDA as a software tech company for automotive was more than many OEMs. And we made customers happy. For every $1 they paid us, we gave them 4 back in customer convenience and saving them money on service maintenance and repair. But why? The question is, why has the market capitalization of few companies overtaken the old companies? Because it's fundamentally different. This is different. It's completely different. And, most people are strapping batteries on, and I always give the example, if you take these hybrid Frankenstein chassis and you start strapping batteries and everything on it, it's math. It's geometry of the math and the equation. Imagine I put 2,000 pounds on your stomach and I asked you to carry it. I could put it on your back. The batteries are designed on these pure chassis design that we have with the MPP is the back. Those batteries are in the back. They're not on the belly. Because an ICE engine chassis is designed completely differently. So we're very focused. This is everything. This is the whole system is right there on that deck. And you can see how small it is, but yet you can see how big the use cases it can handle. And so this is a big technology platform. It's integrated, it's cognitive, and it can be protected. As well as I can change the top hat, I can do all kinds of things for a future model. But why is the value shifting? Because the market's not stupid. It knows that vehicles are going to change. So the old model is really tough, which is why we didn't focus on buying some cheap old closed factory. That was not the right move. It's not about cheap. This is about winning. And this is about building a product that wows people. And it wows them at multiple levels. So encourage you guys, when you get out there, see the team, see what they have to say. And these are the real designers, the engineers, the inventors of these things. And I have just so much respect. I did not plan on being a CEO again. I wanted to be an investor, a chairman. I was happy to shepherd the team. But there's 2 guys in this room that really inspired me when I provided capital to them when they need it. And I'd like to acknowledge Richard and Sohail. These two guys, they don't think they're salespeople, but they sure sold me. And guys, appreciate everything. This company was given birth in the backyard of Sohail's in his house. And when he told me the story and just the passion he has, and I want you guys to talk to him, and Richard, and we have lots of positive violence among us. This design is our heart and soul in these top hats and in the next generation of products. So we bonded, and we came together, we provided more money, and here we are today. And so we're big, we're long, and I'll help this company and this team with whatever needs to be done. So, but why is the value shifting? Because it's supposed to. And we wanted to make sure we weren't overvalued, because having ran a public company for over a decade, we never missed revenue for 34 quarters. Henceforth, why we brought down volumes. We will always give guidance that is less than we can do or we have projected to do. We do not want to be the ones missing. So, as a new management team taking over, we rebonded to our ethos, and our ethos was, say little, do more, and don't miss. And let's try to bifurcate ourselves from the SPAC mania and the euphoria of big, big promises. But there is definitely promise in these new companies. So to do that, we got to start behaving like a public company, and so we've really made a lot of transitions to do that. And that's why we said we're only going to do big news and meaningful news, and this way we surprise the market. We watch. We're not fans of short traders and people that don't think of innovation, and they try to trade against it. But this is why the market is changing. But the big problem they got is their business models are linear. We saw a big U.S. emblem talk about their switch to digital. This is in our DNA. This is the power of what we have. The light passenger EV demand it just keeps getting revised. And where we are focused, our product lineup fits where the highest demand, highest growth, highest margin vehicles are in the household. And we believe that you get those customer experiences under your hat, you're going to get access to the other vehicles in their driveway. It's a big part of our strategy. It's nothing but upside. So the increase is just jamming away, henceforth the earlier slide. So the issue is demand's going to be a giant problem. We're scrambling to be able to meet demand. We're going to project low, aim high, and have the capacity to do it without an overpaid out CapEx system forward. So we've figured out how to stage this and use shareholder money and the capital markets to give the highest return on capital for our investors. We're investors, so we're in this with you. So let me talk to you about the 3 levels of our business model. So the first one is obviously we talked about the MPP, which is the soul. That's the reason I invested. I didn't invest for anything else. It was just I needed to know, because as a software guy in automotive, I needed to know we can harmonize and articulate that software. You make it drive by wire, steer by wire, you brake, and you can harmonize, and you can control the data streams, and they're your definition. You are in an amazing position. But besides having that capability, where is the way to connect to a customer? It's in upfitting and personalization. So we had to create a platform that people could personalize, and we wanted to benefit from it. This is the micro elements of our mega factory. We will produce the upfitting items in either partnerships on our site and or on our own, depending on the product, similar like Harley-Davidson does. And of course, this is the way we engage with the network, which Christian and team will be talking about in our go-to-market piece as we unveil more and more. Today, we'll give you a piece of it. But the upfitting and accessories market is quite big. And the third piece is around the customer journey. Be the asset manager. You buy one car from us, we'll manage all three in your driveway. We'll do it for free. And that data, so you sell one, get the data for 3. It's a pretty powerful model. It's a model that the most successful companies use, but they work for their customers. We don't care about the emblem, we care about the customer. So that's our journey, but we will project revenue solely on item 1. Item 2 and 3 will happen as they happen to set the stage for an overperforming company at high margin. And we believe this is the model of the future. I've built companies doing the third ring. We studied all the data for the second ring because our catalog systems measured it. And of course, if we take about the core drivers here on this, we are car people. We are truck people. We love our product. We live with our product. And when you meet the people, and the people that are even behind the scenes, any one of them, you see them wearing a shirt, talk to them, and you'll see what the depth of the knowledge and the commitment to innovation. But we think about jumping up in a truck. What's it like? You know, biggest driver workman's comp claim. You got to need an 8-foot bed. What's it like pulling plywood off of a 6-foot bed? So we figured out how to use every inch of everything. So when that piece of 4x8 plywood, sheet of plywood needs to happen, you can pull the extender out to go to an 8-foot bed. No extra cost, no extra insurance. Accident frequency is higher on an 8-foot bed versus a 6-foot bed. You know, we're thinking, we're like mathematicians about things, but yet at the same time, we're making the design cool. You know, if you notice some of the cool things in the design about how accessories, those things are slot wall racks. So tools are often on a job site on the ground. Guys got to bend down. It's cold, hurts, something goes wrong. You know, I have a ranch, you know, injuries can happen jumping in and out of trucks, henceforth the step. So we're thinking about everything so we can create that customer appreciation. We're not trying to make a truck bed as cheap as steel can be done. We're making it so that it's smart and it works for you and you can accessorize it the way you want. And we get to participate in that. And you can order that in by mail, you can do it yourself, you can take it to the upfitter, you can do whatever. It's a big market. Of course, we're focusing in on the pickup in the SUV category, as you will see with the products back there. That segment is growing in the United States alone, 28% over the next years. So it's again, we're trying to be as mathematical about this. We're not just trying to salvage a parts bin, get a bunch of utilization. You know, we're really thinking about the ergonomics, like the experience. So again, you know, this is where the puck is moving. In the bring it to me world, You'll see our small package delivery announcement here. It's in the back. We see that market as being good. Of course, it'll be accessorized, and recently we announced our virus-killing technology, because when you want your food brought to you, you want to know it's been virus-killed inside that vehicle. So we're thinking of everything we possibly can, because we're trying to be those people every day. We're not trying to just get an assembly line a few cents cheaper, a few units faster. We want to make sure that people love these vehicles, and it can go from owner 1, owner 2, and maybe someday you can bring it in and we can upgrade your top hat and so on. Everything's designed to be done repairable. Everything on this can be done with 2 hands in 80+% of the cases. In addition to that, we've sourced about 75% or so in the US and throughout North America. So we're very focused on protecting IP and being able to be influential. One of the criteria for us is to not be a small fish in a big pond, but to be a fast fish in a growing pond. And so we pick our partners wisely because we want to have influence, because we want to bring things new. We don't want to get forced to go to the old way. In addition to that, as you can see as you saw with the coffee experience today, that's another use case. There's an ice cream truck out there, it's warm today, that's another use case. You'll see that when you have electricity, you just have so many powers and so many segments to go after. So we're really excited about what our lineup does. Team will be talking more about it. Market is growing. I'm not going to bore you with the math. Since investing in the company, the thing that I fell in love with was this platform. And I was like, if we can techify this, get the software between it and the customer journey and make it so that we can do upfitting and take customers through the management of their vehicles and give them more space. Space is priceless to a business. And if you think about it, our vehicles, same size vehicle, we can help a business generate about $650,000 more in revenue over a typical life cycle. Why? Because we got more space. We got more utilization space, and we believe that making it so that the drivers don't have to bend over. You're thinking, the quality of the air seat we put in there for them. We care about that driver. We know a fleet owner buys the vehicle, but we also want the driver to love it. So we're spending the money in the right places, that we're not crimping, we're like being with them. Access, angle of access, and form, energy. These are all things that motivate people. The biggest issue, so if you think about it, we can go to a guy that's fully capacitated and doesn't want to grow, and we can cut his fleet by 30%, which reduces his driver risk issue, which is his biggest problem, is to get drivers. So we're thinking of the math as a total unit of cost, which includes the driver. So there's more to come on this without sharing too much, but we're very focused on the math of return on capital for the people that have those vehicles and the use case and the ability to upfit from owner to owner to owner. And of course, being able to keep it fresh. That is very important, and to be forward-looking. I think the design team, these guys live in the future. I'm completely motivated by them, and we inspire them and commission them to be aggressive with their design and their creativity for customer experience, and to do things where a family and a business can journey up with the same vehicle. One of the reasons we picked VDL Nedcar is we also think we can learn from them, because they've had to make a living doing production swaps on the line. It's difficulty for those of you who know manufacturing. We like the Dutch innovative style, and we think with the team we've built and them, we can define some new things which would give us an advantage, because we know we can't win on the volume game, but we eliminated a lot of parts by having steer-by-wire, brake-by-wire, harmonized, articulated, technology-driven, and so we have an advantage. We can't win on volume right now. That'll just be gravy when we get to it, but what we could do is figure out how to create more space, more return on capital, and a greater experience. So that's what we did. We focused on all of that. We wanted secure. We focused on where to play in ADAS. We're not trying to do everything, but the things we do, we compete heavily on. So you can see here the OTA layer, the upfitting. We'll give you more information on this as time goes, and throughout the day, you'll hear about it. Again, it's a big TAM, it's growing, it's got good margins, and at the same time, we're willing to put vehicles out at a very cost-effective rate to get market share. Here's just an illustration that Christian's going to talk more about, but if you look at the incremental revenue that's generated from the accessories side of the equation, the additional margin is nearly selling another vehicle. And it satisfies customers because it becomes unique to them. So it's very important. Christian will give you more on that. Again, the upside in our model is about the customer journey, how we can move from transaction to transaction. And if you think of all the money spent on vehicles moving between owners, why can't the platform just do that at a fraction of the cost? And that's upside for us. We're big bulls on the customer journey side. That market is already becoming a big market. The big issue for most vehicles is they're pumping out 1 to 2 terabytes of data, raw data per day. It's deharmonized, it's polluted, it's got to be, we spend so much time, thousands of engineers in our former life just trying to figure it out, get things right, so we can give a customer a better journey or decode things. This is a changing environment. Of course, when you control everything I talked about earlier, we could do it much faster. And so we don't have the cost of this legacy problem. And when you look at the examples of what the technology experience can do, how it's capturing technology, I can do all kinds of things with these use cases to make your life better, safer, and give you a higher return on capital and more connected to your drivers if you're a fleet, and or protect your family if they're in the vehicle through security layers of software. Mark my words, this will be a bigger thing in the coming years. But to be the app store between the vehicle and the customer, whether we built it or not, we want to take care of it for you. We know how to do it. We've done it in our former lives. And to really integrate that, Christian's going to talk to you about how we see that. We are not going to say everything, obviously, because we want to let you know what we're doing, why we're doing it, where we're going, and you got enough directional information. We're well positioned. I feel better about Canoo than I've ever felt. Many people, we work through the night. That's pretty common practice. We see a big market, 3 layers. If you go do your research, you'll see this is where the money is. If you check us out, we built a very profitable business in this area, and we can make the car experience fun again. We got a great team. Pete's going to come up next. Christian, who I worked with many years while he was at Daimler. Frank, Renato at Solera, Mark from Daimler, and Ramesh from E&Y. But that's the executive team, but the people below it just gets even better. So without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to Pete to take you through a much deeper technical view.
Thanks, Tony. Hey, I'm real pleased that you could all join us here today. I'm Pete Savajian. I'm the CTO of the company. I've been leading the engineering activity for modern electric vehicles for over 30 years. I worked at General Motors for a long time. I was chief engineer of the propulsion system for the GM EV1. I stayed there quite a while. I developed, released, and delivered 13 hybrid and electric vehicles over a long period of time, leading up to the 2016 Chevy Bolt. I also, after that time, worked at a couple of startup companies, and one of them I was in charge of engineering and supply chain. So over that whole arc, I've seen a lot, I've done a lot in the business and the technology of electric vehicles. And when Tony talked to me back in September and explained this expansive vision that he was putting together, and he talked about the company Canoo, and I knew something about it because I worked with a lot of these really great folks before. And I was always intrigued, and I was kind of hoping maybe there'd be an opportunity, and really it was an irresistible thing after I heard all of the great expectations and the mandate to go make it real. Bring this vision down to earth and make it executable. And so for me, if I think about everything that an EV could be, that I've been thinking about for my entire professional career, this was really the chance to do it because it was in a construct that really gets it, that there are better vehicles that could be made because they're electric. They're not just simply electric, they're not just simply with enough range, they're not simply quieter and smoother and faster, but they actually deliver way more. They can make a vehicle much better. They could be used in work to return capital, and they could make owning one for personal uses a lot more fun. And so for me, the vehicle that I'm aspiring to own is the pickup truck decked up for outdoor use, because I like that kind of stuff. And so this vehicle inspires me as we work on it, and I can't wait to make it real. I'm going to go deep into a couple of different technical areas here this morning. But before I do that, I want to show you a short video that goes a little deeper into this multi-purpose platform. We call it the MPP. In it, you'll not only see a little bit that'll help introduce the topic of some of those technologies, but you'll also have a chance to see some of our great engineers who have total passion, have complete respect for the amount of work and the amount of genius that they pour into our vehicle development work every day.
Canoo is set out to prove what can be done with a very uniquely designed, efficient platform.
We integrated batteries directly into the skateboard, so we sort of had efficiency right up front.
We have a functionally integrated system, meaning we don't have batteries packaged inside of a box. Designing the module to be so integrated into the platform, we're able to achieve the best energy density in our class.
Very early on in the program, we decided that we needed to design this powertrain in-house. We packaged the power electronics, the electric motor, and the gearbox all together in this really tight, efficient package space. So when you get in the car, what you're going to see is an open environment right in front of you. And that's all made possible by our electric motor.
It's functional design. Everything that we do is built around a use case so that you can outfit it or upfit it for what you're doing at the moment or the next person can.
Canoo, to me, is a promise to deliver all these vehicles on this amazing multi-purpose platform that would satisfy the second and third owner.
This is the company that's going to make electric vehicles for everybody.
Canoo is pushing the boundaries. We're pushing the envelope and moving the automotive space in the right direction.
5 years from now, I see Canoo everywhere in the US. This is America's electric vehicle.
So like I said, Tony asked me to join Canoo last September as part of the new management team for a public company to go make it real, bring it down to earth, line it up, make it linear, make it concrete, get sufficient resources, put things in place to execute this new value proposition. And it really breaks down into 3 layers. The first layer being the multi-purpose platform, the second layer being the cabin, the thing that defines the vehicle, its cargo carried, its passenger carrying, and the big physical features that create what we think about when we think about what a vehicle is. And then the third layer is that connectivity layer into the customer. So these things harmonized and articulated, all working together, this 3-layer concept. But there's a second big dimension that every other car company I ever worked at just didn't get. And the idea that this vehicle can deliver business and value over a long lifetime. The average car on the road is 12 years old, average age in the United States, 12 years. The first owner is, on average, responsible for about 3 of those years. There's a second owner who has to do business in that vehicle. Keep this vehicle fresh over a lifetime, stay connected between layers 2 and 3. Allow for accessorization to add or change things. Engineer for that, make it real. Throughout the entire life cycle, business can be done. And the rest of the business model that you'll hear about a little more detail on really takes advantage of that. That is a really healthy part of the business. And lastly, Canoo is a technical company. We have real depth. And before I joined, I knew the depth of this engineering team that had gotten started and had done a lot of the great genius work that is in the multi-purpose platform and the embodiments into the first vehicle, a lifestyle vehicle. But this is really part of the strategy, is to control the IP, the essential parts that make this valuable kind of business proposition actually work, to control our own destiny and focus our technical efforts in the areas that really matter. So this is really the mandate I had, is go make that real. Go provision this company, organize it, and execute to it. And so one of the biggest things, and with great support of the rest of the new public management, is we need a lot more engineers. And the technical headcount when I joined was about 250 folks. At the end of Q1, we're at 435, and we have a plan to recruit and attract and pay for scaling up of technical talent by the end of the year to 690 folks. Now, that's a pretty good sized team, but it's what is necessary to execute this multi-product business plan that goes deep into the technology and actually delivers it. And it's not just skills, it's experience and attitude and chemistry. And so when you talk to the folks that out in the area, or challenge you to talk to anybody and test their depth in their areas or their passion for it, these are people that have worked together before, delivered, veterans like myself from General Motors, but a great crew of ex-Tesla folks are within Canoo, and great engineers from across the auto industry. You name the OEM, and we'll have folks with decades or more experience in each of those areas. These are people who understand not just the creative part of the front end, the fun end of the business in the front, to conceive of things, but are experienced at closing, that know how to go through that process and finish. And so in addition, we need a leadership team. And really to organize, to have more professional processes, understand sufficiencies of analysis, laboratory, tools, methods, procedures, all of that. So, and with the right mindset to work maybe at a faster pace, to dig a little deeper, to take advantage of the latest tools and not just use legacy processes to execute. And so the right mindset with the right amount of experience. And so on the first tier of leaders in our engineering organization, 32 average years of experience. Over 10 average years of electric vehicle experience. These are people who know how to close vehicles of the kind that we're developing. And I would just take take a moment when you're out in the area. Two of the leaders that I worked with in the past, Sohail Merchant, that Tony gave a shout out to before, head of vehicle architecture, complete vehicle engineering, and Nitin Patel, who's a brother of mine from General Motors, developing and growing the large competency there in electric machines and high voltage power and so on. So two key leaders, and then several others. Again, talk to them when you're out there. So this idea of platform reuse, like we keep talking about the MPP, why is it important? You know, it's not just a technical exercise. This is a strong business advantage. This platform underpins all the vehicles that you see out here with some small modification that you saw in the video that Tony showed. This results in our ability to carry over engineering labor, about half, 45 to 55%, from one project to the next. So if we start a new vehicle program and we start with the MPP, we've taken out half of the engineering development. 57%, well more than half of the bill of materials cost of all those components, we get to reuse entirely. Now, I worked for a long time at a big company that prided itself on figuring out how to reuse, you know, how to make, you know, a big sedan out of a small sedan. And, you know, it's hallelujah if that number could be as high as 25%. So this is an unprecedented amount of reuse. This is using electric vehicle technology, packaging it very cleverly, and then allowing for a business advantage to improve the business of building cars. Another key element would be how risky, how long does it take to develop a subsequent model after you have one that already works and you have an MPP that works? And to recognize that the risky and long-lasting parts of vehicle development are the big testing protocols for all of the key functions. And if you design that platform like the Canoo team has done, 70% of the driving function and the failure functions are in that platform. The things you want to test, most of them you don't need to retest. You can reuse. And you can reuse with confidence, and you don't have to allow or pay for these long testing protocols. So the things we do to improve on the lifestyle vehicle make the delivery vehicle better because they're common. We get to reuse. So now let's dive in a little bit. Let's talk about the battery system, kind of the heart of any electric vehicle, batteries, most important component set. When you go out and look in the area, you'll see that we don't have a box-in-a-box design. What does that mean? It means that the battery modules are protected by the frame of the vehicle itself, both environmentally and structurally. They're sealed and protected within the frame. And so we don't need to have another box that does that. We carry around as payload, a dead weight of 90 pounds of an extra box. The battery modules are protected by the frame, and the battery modules actually stiffen the frame because they're structurally integrated. And taken all together at a pack level, that gives us a 195 watt-hours per kilogram specific energy. And you know, if you look at any of the competitive vehicles, you'll see numbers maybe 150, 160, maybe 165 tops. So it gives us a really strong mass advantage at the vehicle level. And finally, this is a modular design. We have modules. We have about 5 kilowatt-hour modules is what you'll see out there today. Why is that important? Well, if you look at a leading competitor vehicle, that module is 18 kilowatt-hours about. So if there's a problem with one of the battery cells in there, you'll want to replace, get that battery module replaced. And so the service cost is easily 1/3, less than 1/3 the cost of a much larger module. So this has a serviceability advantage. And it is a modular design, and we use a commodity cell, a 2170 cell, that are from the leading battery manufacturers, offering the highest specific energy and the best specific cost. We use that 2170, and we could switch between one of 3 manufacturers right now. But the module system, which includes the battery management software, electronics, includes the structural system that I talked about a little bit, the thermal system, that's all Canoo technology, IP, And we can reapply that when the time comes when there are better battery cells than the 2170 commodity cells that exist today. So when there's a 4680, we can pretty easily adapt the product concept and execute a module based on 4680s. And when and if there is a pouch type solid state cell, which many expect to happen in the next several years, when that happens, we'll adapt the module system to take advantage of those cells. We'll still use structural integration into the MPP platform. We'll go next into the powertrain, and really part of the mandate here to make the product concept executable takes us into certain elements of performance. Can we have power, for instance, that's enabled by the software through the customer journey? And we'll hear a little more about that later. And so it means that even though these vehicles may have been fine where they were at, which was around 300 horsepower, having more available in the design, figure out how to deliver that, and Charlie and the powertrain team really stepped up to figure out how to, in basically the same package, that same 200-pound package, deliver 350 horsepower that we can offer as an option. And this is about a 13% power density advantage versus a leading EV peer. These drive units, which is a combination of the motor, inverter, gearbox, are flexible. We can, through the MPP architecture, offer front, rear-wheel drive, or all-wheel drive. And you'll see that they sit, even though they're very light, they're cleverly packaged to sit below a very flat floor. A big innovation and a big first for us is steer-by-wire, true steer-by-wire. Steer-by-wire without a column shaft between the steering wheel and the steering rack. And we've incorporated all of the redundancies in power, sensing, controlling, and feedback. We've got a full redundant system so that it's compliant with any functional safety regulation that applies to steering systems. These kinds of things have been in the labs of major steering companies for over a decade. Saw them a long time ago. But at Canoo, I think we're the first to see, well, what's the real value of that? And the value for us is to deliver it into this MPP platform system, because where the steering wheel goes could be anywhere in the vehicle. That doesn't really matter. And so we could create superior packaging to deliver more utility, moving the driver forward. We could use the same platform to lift the driver up, move the driver back, left hand, right hand drive. Doesn't matter. We don't have to re-engineer the entire vehicle around this mechanical connection from the steering column to the steering rack. So it's flexibility to reuse and extend the range of the MPP. But it also gives us flexibility to deliver a harmonized driving experience combined with brake-by-wire and, of course, accelerator, drive-by-wire. All together, we can tune them together, for instance, a performance mode or sport mode and a comfort mode, and offer different levels of harmonized driving dynamics. And you could imagine for driver 1 or driver 2 or owner 1 or owner 2, this is a completely software-enabled customization experience. And then lastly, because we have no mechanical connection, we can offer superior steering kinematics. So compensate for oversteer or understeer that might exist with a front-wheel drive van versus a rear-wheel drive sedan. That can be tuned out with software to give a neutral handling experience. So altogether, we really think that the software-enabled driving experience is a key strategic feature of the Canoo car building system based on the MPP. And the last item I think I'd like to delve into a bit further into the platform system, and we kind of see as an extension of that the electrical architecture and the controllers that execute it. You heard a little earlier Tony describe concerns about vulnerability, and that's a real threat. But how do you address that? And you address that by taking control of the controller architecture on the vehicle rather than use a bunch of legacy parts from many different manufacturers or the cheapest parts, to just create a Mr. Potato Head electrical system and present 40 or 50 or 60 different controllers with chips, maybe even an unknown origin. Those are all points of vulnerability. They're also points of vulnerability in the supply chain. You're really exposed to the supply of many different. And rather integrate domain controllers, and through integration, get rid of parts. Best part of the part you don't have to buy, you don't have to fix, doesn't have any weight. And so we have a narrower chipset as a result. It results in reduced cyber vulnerability, and then collected all together, it's actually reduced cost. And on this electrical architecture rides not just the driving functions that we talked about before, but also infotainment, ADAS that I'll talk about in a second, and then cybersecurity measures, as well as the Canoo apps that you'll hear more about. So we'll move up into the cabin now, into the second layer. And you can see that platform is a very flat, offers a very simple mechanical interface and a relatively simple electrical interface. And that same platform with small variations that you saw, the scaling and so on, available, allows us to put together a variety of features in a harmonized way. And it also enables the manufacturing system that you're going to hear about a little bit later. So we've announced these vehicles. They're riding on all skateboards that are, siblings or cousins to each other. The Canoo cabin system really delivers a lot of useful utility. So in profile here, you see the lifestyle vehicle, and below it, I don't know if anybody can identify what that car is. It's a Prius. And so this is the size, it's really the size of the vehicle. So, and in profile, you see where the occupants can go and the amount of space that's netted out. And it's because we're trying to make that vehicle more productive by moving the driver forward, still protecting the driver fine, that it's a superior seating position that delivers, way more space behind it. We're maybe a half meter ahead of most other vehicles where the front row passenger is seated. And therefore, we can enable a lot more volume. And so in this case, the interior volume compared to a Prius, which is just a little bit longer than the lifestyle vehicle, the interior volume is more than double. And in fact, the interior volume of the lifestyle is about 12% more than what's in a Honda Odyssey, which is quite a bit larger vehicle. So package efficiency matters not just for vehicles like this, but let's say the pickup truck, the challenge from Tony. Make it the size of the Ranger, but have the utility and the payload and the carrying capacity of a full-size truck. Well, if we can seat the occupants in the right places, we can deliver that. Or the delivery vehicle. If we could put the passenger, the driver much further forward in the front seat than competing delivery vehicles, we've got a lot more volume to use to make that delivery vehicle more productive. And so our cabin system delivers package efficiency. We've got an ADAS system ready for launch at level 2 with all of the basic features. But we've got an OTA system, over-the-air upgradability. So as we continue to refine and mature and validate additional features in ADAS, we're going to be able to upgrade over time. And our ADAS compute platform, along with the sensor suite, we believe will ultimately get us to around level 4. And then an interesting challenge, and I think we engineer for over the life cycle of the vehicle. So in addition to engineering for the durability to hit that life cycle, we also have plug-and-play capability with a wide range of accessories that Canoo will make, but also make available for third parties. So plug-and-play enabled by clever structural interfaces, adequate load carrying capacity, and clever electrical interfaces to go with. So we can change over the life cycle of the product exactly what a customer might outfit it for. So here you'd see a vehicle on its journey over its life, second, third, fourth owner might use these vehicles for different things. We want to offer that adaptability so our customers have a canvas for expressing either their personality or their specific business need. And we want our vehicles to be really useful even when they're standing still. They're not really being used as a vehicle. This is a really high energy capacity. We want to unlock that with a sufficient power capacity to work in V2X. Three kinds of V2X. First, V2G, vehicle to grid. The vehicle, when it's plugged in, has got full bidirectionality and interface for V2G. And that means this is a grid stabilization, a distributed grid stabilization system at 11 kilowatts. And what is that? 11 kilowatts is really helps make renewable power useful in most neighborhood areas that might have some wind or some solar on the grid. Vehicle to home, that same vehicle plugged in can serve as backup power. 11 kilowatts, again, about the right level to manage the peak power in the average household. And so no loads need to be suppressed in the case of a power outage. Everything can stay on for the average household. And enough energy in the vehicle that if that vehicle was fully charged when the outage happened, you'd go more than 2 days to hold up the house. So, and then lastly, vehicle to load. Vehicle to load for job site power, not just 120 volts, but also 240. And so 11 kilowatts at 240, that's enough for like a industrial air compressor for, let's say, a group of painters might use. Or it's certainly enough for arc welding that you see depicted here. It's enough for an electric log splitter. Any number of things is really the ultimate workmate, not just 120, but also 240. Now, bringing all this to life is not an easy task, and delivering with quality means the right kind of engineering has to happen. And we've invested at Canoo into that right kind of work. So we made a fleet of beta vehicles. Some of them are here. You'll have a chance to go through them a little bit later. Let's look at what we've done with most of those vehicles over their life cycle. So we've done a lot with our beta vehicles to significantly de-risk our ability to deliver a quality product. And it's just crazy to me to think that there are some companies that imagine they're going to be a vehicle developer and skip that step. We didn't take any shortcuts. The tests that we've done are equivalent to the same slate of development tests and development criteria that you would find at any major OEM. The beta fleet cost us a lot of money. Most of the early development money of the company went into making vehicles for the purposes of breaking them, understanding their limits, verifying that it was good, or making the right corrections necessary to deliver a quality product. 1.5 million hours of engineering, 500,000 miles of testing, 32 properties, 13 of them functional. We're on target for an overall 5-star rating, and we're on target for the full kind of durability and corrosion resistance, structural durability, thermal life cycle, to not only meet the standards of the industry, but to meet the standards of the company to deliver to the second, the third, and the fourth owner over its life cycle. We're pragmatic and realistic about what it takes to actually finish and deliver, because so many of us have done this before. We're now into Gamma, which is really the vehicle design that takes us into production, that has in it all of the fixes, countermeasures, improvements that are revealed through a very aggressive beta testing program. At Gamma, and what you see here is part of the ladder frame line being lined up. We're moving along there. But the Gamma program, before the start of production, that we're on track for at the end of 2022, features 12 months of additional testing and verification. About 120 to 150 vehicles will be built and used for validation, and properties for crash tests and for sled tests. Again, this is the full slate, no shortcuts on our way to real production, and we really can't wait to deliver it. And we've really kind of picked up over time. We're making great progress in all aspects of the engineering. As I showed, we're starting work in Gamma in certain key areas like the ladder frame and the battery modules right now. You can see some of the hardware out there today. 80% of our parts are sourced. 63% of our engineering documentation is already released. This is really our production design. 54% of the tooling and equipment is already committed. The last thing I want to talk about really is the continued innovation at Canoo. We said, hey, this is our lifeblood. The technologies that make an electric vehicle great, that really deliver the business vision of this durability, adaptability, and connection with the customer, all those technologies, and protection of the customer in their ownership experience, requires a great deal of technology. And we're really proud of the innovation we've been able to put in these vehicles, and I think you'll agree when you see them. We've got something really to be proud of. But we know that a lot of great ideas come from outside the company, and that's true of almost anyone. We're not doing it all ourselves. So we're set up a model for continued R&D, continued innovation, including great inputs from outside the company. We announced the first one a little while ago, which is our R&D partnership with the University of Wisconsin, a leading institution in electric powertrain and electric power conversion. But that's just one of several that we have in intention. We want similar partnerships with key institutions in areas that are great in their particular specialty. So we're still looking and still talking with different institutions, some in electric power storage, batteries, battery type technologies. Other key areas of interest are in the data sciences, and others in some of the software areas related to it, and others still in perception and machine learning as it relates to ADAS. So the journey's not over just with the MPP and the cabin and the rest of the hardware, but we have a long-term vision to own our destiny in the technologies to execute our business plan. And with that, that kind of concludes my comments on the technical foundations of Canoo vehicles. I can't wait to get these into production. We had some exciting news this morning with both the first and second phase of our manufacturing activities, but it takes someone with experience in those areas to really execute them. And so I'm so glad Frank Fega is here to present our pragmatic and innovative approach to manufacturing. Frank?
Thanks, Pete, for the kind words, man. Sure. Wish me luck. Good morning. My name is Frank Fega, and I'm the Vice President of Manufacturing for Canoo. Let me show you my personal vehicle. About every 6 weeks, I load up something. It's never big enough, and if it is, it's too big, if you catch my drift, with a bunch of equipment and go play somewhere. And so I chose this. But it also answers the question that's on every lead guitarist's mind is, where do I plug in? So I got it all there. Let me tell you a little bit about my background before I get to the next slide. I didn't know when I was a kid what my destiny would be. I mean, who does? I should have. My grandfather spent 50 years in the railroad. My father spent almost 50 years in General Motors as a manufacturing guy. When I was 5 years old, he started taking me into the factory, because you could back then, every other Saturday, and he'd read the log and he'd walk the line with the inspectors, and I was right there with him. So I learned from a very early age how to check for dents and look at the paint. And it wasn't that long after that, from 5 years old up to, I think I was 23 or 24, I was standing next to W. Edwards Deming at Pontiac Motor Division, the father of, not my father, but the father of Japanese quality. And I was embarking on a career. Almost 45 years later, not quite, here I am. And along the way, 5 continents, 16 nameplates, an awful lot of vehicles down the line, greenfields, brownfields, contract manufacturers. So been there, done that. This is going to be a lot of fun. With the announcements you heard today, this falls right in line. So with that background, what's the inspiration? You know, to go where we want to go, we have to stand on the shoulders of giants. Henry Ford, with his concept of moving manufacturing from a static system onto the line to create efficiencies, not just with line rates and frequencies, but also with material thoughts. How do you save as much money as possible? How do you vertically integrate? Because having control over your own process speaks yards about how far you're going to get. In the same vein, not less than a generation later, Taiichi Ohno with Toyota developed a more modern production system. We've learned from this stuff, right? This is what we do. I mentioned W. Edwards Deming. He revolutionized, really, taking a scientific approach to quality. But a lot of people don't know this, but he also talked about the social aspects of how to manage and the social aspects of how to lead. And finally, Shigeo Shingo, who introduced the concept of zero, kind of like the Mayans. He took the system that says you can have 0 accidents, you can have 0 defects, you can have 100% quality and productivity. The things that facilitates the next revolution in manufacturing, this destiny trip we're all on, is the ability to have a product that's designed in such a way, the platform, the cabin, the way the whole system integrates, it's designed to be built in a flexible way. This is a dream come true, because what manufacturers want is we want to build a process that can build anything the customer might want. And with the right product and the right approach to doing that with equipment, it can be done. You need the right team. We currently have just over 50 people in manufacturing. With the announcement you heard today, it's about to explode with the good people in Oklahoma. I can't wait. And we also have a contract manufacturer, so we get a lot of partners with us here too. But it takes coaching and leadership to direct it a certain direction, to direct it where you need it to go. And I have responsibility for advanced manufacturing, quality, and materials logistics. Just the coaches leading those teams, these are their numbers. These are our numbers. 142 years in automotive manufacturing, 105 vehicles launched, 29 production plants managed, and this is a big one, even though it's a small number, 10 production plants launched. Launch is tough business, and it takes experience to do it. It's not a first-time thing. People here laugh when I tell them I've been around the block so many times I know it's around the corner. It's not a funny joke anymore, but it's the truth. And to have that kind of expertise in this team and with the people we have working with us, with the huge experience in NEDCAR, with the people that we're going to be working with in Oklahoma that we can train and develop and teach our production system to, there's nothing that can stop us. What's the mission? The mission is great. It turned into a mandate. So take this thing I was talking to you about with Henry Ford and Ohno and Shingo and Deming. The trick is, how do you be efficient? And that's the mandate. We must be efficient because the customer only wants to pay for what he's buying or what she's buying. How can we make it perfect quality? Because again, anything that isn't perfect is waste. We have to make it perfect. So you have to do it twice. You have to do it 3 times. So how do you have perfect quality? This team that we assembled has done flexibility before. Over the last 20, 25 years, we've learned how to build multiple models with the same equipment, just slightly making some changes as the vehicles go down the line. But we always want to do more. And we're going to have that opportunity with this awesome design. And finally, to be truly vertically integrated. How do we make this vehicle as customizable as possible so that whatever somebody wants within reason, but with a new level of reason, whatever they might need or might want, we can provide it, either through optimization, customization, or accessories. And we can do it, a lot of it, in this factory that we're designing. Let me show you a little bit about what we're going to do. I don't want to give away the IP, though. A customer decides they want to buy a Canoo. They make a vehicle order. That vehicle order goes into this vast universe of thousands of possible orders for us. We take those orders. We have to be efficient. We take those orders and we start to put them into a schedule, a plan schedule that tells the suppliers and us exactly what's going to be coming until it becomes literally hard ice. It becomes a 10-day fixed schedule, and we know exactly what we're going to build. Why am I even bothering to show you this? It's because to do anything possible, or as much possible as you can imagine, you have to have discipline somewhere. There has to be something that creates the discipline and the system to be able to provide anything. So we take the schedule, and what happens? We start to build vehicles. We build bodies. After we start to build the body, it goes to paint. I think on our picture here, we're going to show you some wild paint jobs. I'll show you how we can do that. Body comes together. Paint it. And then we finally take it into general assembly and add all the bits and pieces in general assembly that go into the vehicle. Plus, in this case, I'm showing you some options and some use case elements. That vehicle is married to the platform, and it goes to the customer. Okay, what's new about that? Not a whole lot. The trick to that is having a very disciplined order bank, a gateway so that everybody knows what to expect, so that all these different possible options are within easy reach. We have a lot less material on hand. We have a lot less space to store material. We have a lot less material in the pipeline that costs a lot of money. So, but you need that discipline to make that happen. So what's a little bit different about us? Well, most companies, here's a traditional assembly plant. Orders, body, paint, assembly, and delivery. That's traditional. Body-on-frame companies, vehicles, a lot of companies buy their frame. Why would we buy a frame? It's our foundation. It's what makes this vehicle possible. So this ladder frame and the components that go into it are IP. They're really important to us. And why should I let someone else build that? Why should I have somebody else build that? I need it. Now, I need it not only for quality, but I also need it because it's ours. And the elements that go into, the unique elements that go into this ladder frame, might as well make them. Because you know what? They're marketable. There's something that we can provide to the market. We're going to build our own inverters. We're going to assemble our own battery packs and modules. We're going to build our converters. We're going to build our onboard chargers. Again, a lot of people in manufacturing would push these kind of things away. They say that's not core business. If it goes into your vehicle, how can it not be core business? What else is a little bit different? This site is right on our site. You saw the picture a little bit earlier with Tony showing you our layout in Oklahoma, what we're going to do. That was under those roofs. Let me show you a little bit something else that's different. I don't want to tell you how we're going to do this. I'm just going to show you what we're going to do. This micro and mega concept. This is just a schematic. This is not how the factory is configured, but it's a schematic. It is a little bit. I'm going to be coy about what it really looks like. But a vehicle can go, a normal plant, you just think about high volume manufacturing. The vehicle can go from order right through this mega system, high volume, out to delivery. We can do that. That's fine. But the ability, and by the way, when we do that, we can use tooling and really great tooling concepts to build a lot of different models through that main system. Not just one, not just two, quite a few. As long as it's designed properly and engineered to do it. That's why I love this vehicle. But we can also take it and do something that hasn't been done before. Not really, not to this extent. Done this a long time ago by doing a manual process to get it done. But the trick to this is, think about this. We're using the same equipment to build different cars. But the one thing that's usually common in that kind of system is the takt time, the pitch of the factory, the frequency of the factory, how long the car is in each station. With a micro factory, I get two benefits. I can build a lot of components that are special and that are marketable. I can build our own stuff. I can do vertical integration. But while I have that space there, I can also have processes that give me longer takt times or variable takt times. I'm not tied to the Henry Ford car after car after car at the same timeline. So therefore, I can offer customization of the body. I can offer customization of the paint process and the coating process and the filming process. I can offer a ton of flexibility for general assembly, for options, for accessories, things that most people say, oh, we can't do that. Most manufacturers say, yeah, put it somewhere else. We can do that. And the platform shop feeds them both. I can even send platforms out to delivery. You end up with stuff that no one would ever dream could happen in a factory, in an assembly plant, and delivered directly to the dealers, to the customers, et cetera. So, this slide should now be officially called Finally, yay, because we have our spot. What do we have? We're going to implement a two-phase process, but simultaneously. We have a world-class, great bunch of people, contract manufacturer. I can say who they are here before it was a secret. In Nedcar. Speed to market, benchmark quality, fast systems, everything they do is going to be good for us to get into Europe, and access to regional expansion like Tony explained. The really critical part though is in a vehicle launch, manufacturers like to modify as little as possible when they're launching something new. They like to keep something the same. Well, that's hard to do in a startup. With a contract manufacturer, we have an experienced, existing engineering, manufacturing engineering, and manufacturing workforce. They know what they're doing. Logistics people, they know what they're doing. We know what we're doing, but the workforce is there. It's ready to go. And while they're there doing that, we're starting to build and assemble our team, and we're starting to train our team. We're doing our advanced manufacturing work based upon what we can possibly conceive, what we need to do, what we're seeing at Nedcar, and implementing it in our factory. It's a great, great system. And that new factory, it's in Pryor, Oklahoma. It's going to be purpose-built for our manufacturing strategies. Benchmark safety, quality, productivity, and costs. How do I know that? Because we know how to do it. Access to EU and rest of world. So now we have, in a very short piece of time, we've got a Canoo company that is making vehicles globally, if you want to call it that, and different models, multiple models in just a couple of factories. This is fantastic stuff. I'm going to conclude it here because I shouldn't. If I'm not careful, I'm a man of many words. I made the the analogy earlier about, or the story earlier about the music stuff I do. Think of it this way, if you're not from manufacturing, what is efficiency? It's a frequency. It's a time to do things. In fact, if you look at the graphs of it, it looks like a frequency. So we take this system, we know how to do this beat, we know how to do this rhythm. That Henry Ford invented, play to a rhythm. The flexibility part that we've learned how to do over the years, and the ability to do multiple things without a loss of quality or being unsafe or affecting efficiency, is all these different products here. That's like a small group of instruments. So with the right frequency and a small group of instruments, we can take something that, we can take all these elements and make almost anything, unlimited, in the Canoo family. We can play any song we want with those notes. And when Pete called me up in, I think it was November of last year, this wasn't an interview. This was me just, no matter what he was asking me, like, when can I come there? When can I come there? Because I'd done some research on what's going on in the market. The last missing piece of what I needed, what we needed in manufacturing, the manufacturing community, was a vehicle that lends itself to doing the next revolution of manufacturing, what we all wanted to do. Go back to that story when I was a kid. I read Sloan's book, My Years with General Motors. I said, oh my God, I wish I could be Durand. I wish I could be Alfred Sloan. I wish I could start a car company. Yay, here I am. I'm so excited. So what do we do once we do all this stuff? We send it to market. Or, go back to the music analogy, a lot of people you can be really good, but you need a great promoter though. That's really important. So let me introduce to you Mark Aikman, our Chief Marketing Officer.
Thanks so much, Frank. The music man himself, he is definitely our maestro and conductor of manufacturing, and what an incredibly exciting day for Canoo and our manufacturing today. So much new information, and we really can't wait to get to market. We also can't wait to show Canoo to the whole world, and we're really excited for all those of you joining online and for those here in person to really get to walk around and see the product that is shaping this brand. We are so excited, and for the whole team from Canoo to be here today, from Richard Kim, our head of design, to Sohel, to Nitin, to Pete, who talked about this incredible skateboard, the MPP that really differentiates us from everyone else inside the market, and of course, Tony's incredible leadership that you'll hear about throughout the presentations, but really something that is driving Canoo forward and getting us to market incredibly quickly. And after I present, you'll hear from Christian Treiber, who's going to talk about how that customer journey comes to life. So obviously, Mark Aikman, Chief Marketing Officer here at Canoo. I joined the company with 20 years of marketing experience working on global brands in the service industry, in the finance industry, in the consumer packaged good industry. In the last 10 years, I've spent leading teams for marketing and digital customer experience at Mercedes-Benz, the inventor of the automobile. At Canoo, we feel like we're reinventing the automobile as EVs are taking over and consumers are shifting. And what are they shifting to? They're shifting to one of my favorite Canoos that I can't wait to get into. This is our lifestyle vehicle in the adventure trim, and it is absolutely unbelievable. It's something that moves people, it moves emotion, and it also it gets you out into nature unlike any other vehicle you've ever seen before. So let's talk about what is the marketing team and the go-to-market team doing at Canoo. Well, we have a few mandates. The first one that I'll speak to first is our product and market opportunity. This is how we will be going to market to get these vehicles into the hands of customers and to position them in an incredible way that they deliver on the next. Sales. This is obviously an area that has had a tremendous amount of scrutiny in the EV space, and the discipline that Tony talked about this morning is exactly what we're bringing to this sales transparency and sales outlook. We are going to underreport. We're going to make sure that we're not out there overpromising. And we're going to be extremely transparent with exactly where we are. We're going to talk about network today, an important way to get your vehicles out there for both sales and service. Christian's going to touch on this as well, because our focus on customers, not just the first customer, but the first, the second, the third, and the fourth, is a huge part of Canoo and a differentiator for us, that it is really important that it's not just about selling that first product. And the last one is the brand. And we have an incredible team here today that you're going to feel the energy and excitement. You're going to be able to go for test drives in the vehicles around Texas Motor Speedway, which is really cool. And of course, you see the entire fleet of products out there. So we're really excited to talk about the brand and how Canoo is differentiated there as well. So the first, I talked about the market opportunity. I think it's well known. Originally, Canoo said we would be a 100% subscription model company, where in an innovative fashion, for one monthly payment, you could have an all-inclusive access to our lifestyle vehicle in Canoo. We certainly like the innovative nature of subscription model, but it has some challenges to it. And as Tony mentioned in our earnings call, it's going to be a sub 20% part of our total business model. We're going to focus on sales and retail in addition to subscription for a few reasons. The first is subscription is really capital intensive. It's all those vehicles, all the wear and tear of those vehicles sitting on our books. And a shift away from this lets us go to market with more products, and you see those products here today. You see the multi-purpose delivery vehicle, you see the pickup truck. Those are things that we can bring to market faster by having sales and retail as part of that model. Subscription's also slower to scale. You have to ramp up a network in each city. You have to get subscribers in each city. Retail and sales is considerably faster for us to be able to take our vehicles and get them into the hands of consumers. Sales and retail also lets consumers and fleets take advantage of federal tax incentives. It's an opportunity that if you were a subscriber, you wouldn't have that opportunity, and that wouldn't be passed off to the end user. So there's a lot of niche customers out there that are still interested in subscription. It's something that we're still thinking about, but we really want to make sure that we're able to deliver these vehicles into the hands of customers. And for all those of you here in person, you actually got to meet one of those customers this morning. As you stood in the lobby and picked up your cappuccino, we actually had one of those customers in our MPDV set up as a coffee truck, and we're actually going to hear a little bit from them right now.
We are a retailer of high-end coffee and espresso machines and accessories. We have 45 employees in 2 locations. Our headquarters is in Portland, Oregon, and then we have a warehouse in Nashville, Tennessee. We are educators. We have a classroom here in Portland, Oregon, but in order for us to train the rest of the United States, we've got to be mobile.
The Canoo van really would allow us to do that. From a functionality perspective, it looks like it does everything that you would want a multi-purpose vehicle to do. And when I saw the price tag, I was completely blown away.
We sell and repair coffee equipment, espresso machines, coffee grinders. Instantly when I saw it, I was like, this will work for us, but also I can see this with delivery, repair, personal use, food truck. I mean, you just can see so many options instantly when you see it.
We're mostly based in dense cities. We have to go where all the coffee shops are, so being able to park easily is critical. It's really difficult to actually find a van that is the right size to hold all the stuff we need it to hold, but also to be able to drive comfortably and park easily.
Knowing we have an EV vehicle that is really reducing the carbon footprint compared to a gas or a diesel van that we might be driving is really important to us here at Clive.
Given that Canoo is one of the only electric vehicles that are really focused on that price point for the utility segment, for the small business segment, and so this would be a game changer.
So let's give them a round of applause. They made us some amazing cappuccinos and coffees this morning. And certainly they're building the future of their business. And for everyone online, I'd encourage you to follow Clive Coffee and Black Rabbit Coffee and help support their business. I talked about bringing discipline to our sales outlook. And on earnings, we talked about these 3 stages, and we wanted to be extremely transparent with everyone. Stage 1 are conversations that we're having with customers and the potential number of vehicles in their fleet. These are people that are qualified for our product and the timing that those products will come out. And our sales team that's hard at work, except I see one of them standing around right now, but hard at work all the time, out there connecting with customers. These are stage 1, actively out there having conversations. Stage 2 are refundable or non-binding commitments. These are customers that have committed to a vehicle and a delivery date with Canoo with a refundable or non-binding commitment. And stage 3 will be non-refundable binding commitments. And we look forward to updating you on those coming soon. We're really excited for all the businesses that are starting to switch to EV. You saw it from Clive Coffee and Black Rabbit Coffee. You see here the incredible shift from 2% of these light commercial vehicles today being EVs to 2030 with 31% of their fleets being switched to EV. You've seen quite a bit of the press about these vehicles in large fleets, from governmental to last mile delivery to home and residential services, that are starting to make those switches. And we're so excited for how well positioned the Canoo products are. Today, you'll even get to walk around and see our lifestyle vehicle delivery vehicle. This is an incredible format, sized for global roads, and it looks absolutely unbelievable. So definitely check that out here in person. At Canoo, all of our products really work well, not only for private individuals, but for commercial fleets as well. You see the multi-purpose delivery vehicle with the footprint of what we saw at Toyota Prius and the ultra-large cargo volume that easily lets them navigate city streets. You heard it in the video from the customers earlier, and those use cases are so important of how we've designed these products to work in customers' lives, to fit in tight cities, and to deliver with absolutely amazing ergonomics for the drivers that have to be behind the wheel of those vehicles. You've seen the pickup truck multiple times. The pickup truck's here today. It has those multifunctional work surfaces that Tony showed you in his video earlier. It is definitely the Swiss Army knife of pickup trucks. And then you have the lifestyle vehicle that I'll actually talk even that much more about later today. And last but not least, you have the multi-purpose platform that Pete talked about this morning that is really differentiated with over 50 patents that are significantly setting Canoo's product apart from everyone else. When we think about getting to market in 2023 and 2024, we will be in the top 20 markets in the US. We are so excited to get these vehicles in the hands of customers. And then in the next 5 years, we're really excited to be in all 50 states in the US for sales and service. This is something that we are so excited about. Now today, we've targeted that, but we're certainly not done looking forward and really excited to be in more places than just the US. Today, you're going to hear a lot about our lifestyle vehicle. This was shown to the world for the first time in 2019. Richard Kim and the design team did an absolutely amazing job designing this loft on wheels, an ultra-futuristic vehicle that is only possible with the technology that Pete talked about, that Sohel and Nitin helped design from a powertrain perspective, as drive-by-wire perspective, and from a design perspective, there's nothing else in the world like a Canoo vehicle. Today, for the first time, you will see across our website an updated lifestyle vehicle. This is updated with the information that Pete talked about, where our engine now has 350 horsepower. you'll see an increased ground clearance that helps it even more competitive among SUV competitors. Of course, you see stylistic things like 19-inch wheels that look amazing and will get you on these dirt roads. You probably saw our press releases about the virus-killing technology that Tony talked about. Certainly, 2019 and 2020 have made us even more conscious of how important the cleanliness of our air is. And then all the fit and finish that goes into a production level vehicle, from wireless charging, 17 speakers that will be class leading in a standard equipment level for this vehicle, and the incredible creature comforts like ambient lighting. You'll see that inside the vehicle trims. So of course, I talked a little bit about the lifestyle vehicle delivery already. This is a vehicle that is perfectly fit for small businesses or large corporate fleets that need to navigate those tight city streets. And this vehicle is well positioned to drive on all global roads, wherever it needs to go. The base vehicle, of course, fits in any kind of ride-sharing platform where you need to transport people with style and ease. The premium is perfect for families or upscale livery, where you really want to enjoy every aspect of the vehicle, from the front street view window to the glass panorama roof. And for those here in person, if you haven't sat in the lifestyle vehicle, there is nothing else on the market that is going to compare to the amount of passenger space that you get in the back of a lifestyle vehicle. And then, of course, a vehicle that Tony showed this morning that we all just can't get enough of. The adventure trim of the lifestyle vehicle will be unlike any other EV. It's the only vehicle that will get you into nature and actually let you leave nature with zero carbon footprint, right? So this is something outdoor enthusiasts, van life enthusiasts are all going to be incredibly excited about. So I could talk about these products all day. That is definitely for sure. But what I want to do is I want to leave you with a little bit of the brand thought of what makes Canoo different. Of course, part of that Tony mentioned this morning, that it's not just about selling one car. It's about the entire ecosystem that's going to surround that car. And Christian's going to talk about that in a little bit. But the other big difference, and you've heard it from Tony, and it's critically important to us here at Canoo, is it's not just about selling another expensive electric vehicle. It's about building an electric vehicle for the 99%. Real families, real professionals, real fleets that are hardworking and aren't just buying style, they're buying utility and they're buying practical design. So these vehicles are built for those real people with real jobs, doing real things, the people that drive America. And that's how we see it at Canoo.
We see an electric vehicle for all of us. For the contractor, for the small business owner, for the fleet operator, for the next generation. We see something that is part of everyday life, for everyday America. And what was once just a lifestyle vehicle is now a pickup truck, a multi-purpose delivery vehicle, a new way to explore, entirely engineered by Canoo. For the first owner, the second, the third, the fourth. We see functional design, productivity, and affordability. We see cleaner air, more space, more return on investment. That's how we're building electric vehicles, for everyone. Canoo.
So now here to talk about how we're bringing Canoo to those owners 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'd love to bring up Christian Treiber, and I'm so excited for all of you to experience our products a little bit later today. Christian?
Thank you, Mark. And let me start by introducing myself. My name is Christian Schreiber, and I joined the Canoo leadership team in the second quarter of this year. The first 28 years of my career I spent with Mercedes-Benz. In the automotive retail world, in the wholesale organization here in the US, and in several positions in the headquarters in Stuttgart. Today I'm responsible for the customer journey and after sales here at Canoo. I met Tony 12 years ago at a boardroom in Stuttgart, and we both share a very specific passion for delivering exceptional customer experience. We are both convinced that the customer experience should be way more data and software driven than what anyone is experiencing today. So why is this such a challenge for the industry today? When we start with the vehicles, all the mechanical components, electric, electronic, now connectivity on top. So you have the OEM, you have tier 1 suppliers, you have tier 2 suppliers. They all deliver several components. You have legacy systems. They sometimes carry from model to model. Then, of course, you have the OEM apps. You have discussions about the front end, the back end. They're not really connected to the dealer network, to the franchise system. And the dealers are really focusing on customers, yes. But their IT infrastructure is driven by their dealer management system, which is an accounting system. So not very friendly of connecting CRM tools to it. This is why you see a long list of suppliers out there that try to connect to this DMS system. It doesn't just sound complex, it is very complex. So we have to simplify it. And this is why I joined Canoo. I want to be part of a team that builds a data and software-driven customer journey for the customer and beyond. So before I go into any further detail, let's start with a video.
While most vehicles are a combination of disparate components, Canoo is engineered from the ground up as one harmonized and complete vehicle system. Canoo has integrated every system, chip, and component to function as one highly integrated whole. And the Canoo app not only enables complete control of your vehicle, but everything in your automotive life. Canoo is more than just a connected car. It will connect your entire home. A Canoo owner can add other vehicles, manage an entire household, or even a whole fleet with ease. It is unlike anything, and it is going to change everything. Canoo.
So we are looking for a new way of approaching the customer experience. Data and software driven. For the first, for the second owner, but also for the third and the fourth owner and beyond. So we see three elements that really empower us to do so. Number one, our in-house developed platform. Number two, our ECU units that are over-the-air flashable. And then the ecosystem, the Canoo ecosystem we will build going forward. So let's start with the in-house developed platform. From day one, our people, our code, our platform, a very harmonized system is the basis for creating flexibility. It will help us reducing costs overall, but when we talk about complexity, we talk about 55% less controllers than comparable EV companies in our segment. We talk about cost efficiency. We project being 80% more cost efficient when it comes to integration of entertainment system or software updates. And then last but not least, always having the customer in mind, time to market. 3 to 4 times faster than our competition. When you think about the process, how to change software and having a tier 1, maybe even also tier 2 supplier involved, you write the ticket. You submit the ticket, it gets looked at, it needs to be tested, the changes are taking place. It will be released, the OEM gets it. When the OEM gets it, they test it before they release it. We want to be fast. Time to market is key for us. Because it drives efficiency, convenience, and value. Not just because of remote diagnostics, not just because of predictive maintenance or the vehicle history. It will help us and is enabled through our ECU units, really. 94% of our ECU units are over-the-air flashable. And just think about the flexibility it provides us, updating software over the air. But it also helps our cost management. When you look at the latest recalls in the industry, a lot of them are software related, but often the customer still has to go to the dealership. We predict that we can roughly $90 to $100 per car per year have cost savings by being able to do it over the air. Predictive wear and tear. Service visits planned around your schedule, around the customer's schedule. And you will hear from my colleague Ramesh later. He will share his experience of buying tires too late. How about we predict when you need tires, and we make you a special offer way in advance. So let's talk about asset management. Tony made it very clear to us, we want to help managing asset for the commercial customer, of course, but also the private customer. A vehicle is the second highest asset in a household. You worry about depreciation. But we all know there are features out there, but there are features also will be developed over the next years you cannot upgrade in today's time. We want to make those available. So you don't worry just about slowing down the depreciation. Maybe we will be able to even appreciate your asset. This is also a revenue stream for Canoo. $150 to $300 is a potential when we look per car, per anno going forward. And then last but not least, the individualization, the customization, the upfitting, the accessorization. This is very important when we talk especially about the second, third, and fourth owner. They didn't order the car the way they wanted or picked it up from the floor. They wanted it, and they want to customize it. And we will clearly give them the opportunity. But let's talk about the Canoo ecosystem. Something we're going to do very different. Asset management is the basis. You have a lot of data points in the car, and just look about vehicle usage data. And let's say my son is using the car, and I want to have a look whether he has a heavy foot or not. How about I'm a commercial customer and I have a big fleet? Who's my best driver? Who's my most efficient driver using my asset? I guess my first look would be at the bottom of the list, who is least efficient in the overall approach. Can I coach him? Can I give the driver support to be more efficient? Then we look at data points like the family fleet, a vehicle spar. I think the pandemic created for some industry a little bit of a reinvention. I'm sure a lot of you also made use of mobile vehicle spars. People are coming to your driveway, your garage, to clean the vehicle. We also see an opportunity here for transactions going forward. And then we look at the digital wallet, lifestyle. Can we help your lifestyle? Going through the drive-through. Everyone today has to pick his pocket, pay cash. Most of us pay with credit card. How about we just drive through, get your product, and you don't pull anything? This is an experience, and we definitely want to support it. And then, of course, you can customize safety features. Geofencing, the valet mode in the vehicle, things we want to make available. And how are we going to do this? Strategic partnerships. Strategic partnerships will be a key role for us. We don't need to reinvent everything. We don't need to invent everything in this context. We need partners. We're going to look for partners to create services for the customer. I'm a strong believer in creating services and customer satisfaction because it creates loyalty. And loyalty is what we are looking for. So let's look at some examples for transactions. Every touch point by the end of the day is an opportunity. An opportunity for a transaction. I talked about Ramesh and the tires, the vehicle spar, but also mobile services. But there's so many more out there. And again, our goal is to monetize some of them. Our goal is not to monetize everything, because it is about customer service and creating value for the customer. So let's think about the opportunity overall, the Canoo ecosystem, but for the entire customer garage, not just for the one vehicle. Let's assume you have in total 3 vehicles. So we are looking for really the one Canoo car plus the other 2 that are in your driveway or your garage. Now just think about the opportunity overall. We sell 50,000 and gain insights for 150,000. Or we sell 150,000 and gain the insight for 450,000. This sounds already like a huge opportunity. It's even greater. When you look at the first, the second, the third, and the fourth owner, let's be positive and assume every one of them has at least 2 cars. We gain way more data points and hopefully can support also the customers in the driveway. So how are we going to do this? I mentioned it earlier. The center of it will be the Canoo ecosystem, the Canoo app. The Canoo vehicle data, the services we're going to help to manage and offer, and the strategic partnerships. And we will connect the other cars in your driveway through an OBD connector. You can select a lot of data today through the OBD connector that will empower us and help us delivering those additional features and services and give you transparency. So let's get a first glance about the app and what we will able to see here. So after you call in the Face ID, you will see the range, you get the data about your own vehicle. You can see whether the car is locked, unlocked, or even flash the headlights. You go into settings, and when you go there, you see different options. The digital key. You will get a digital key from us. Car sharing is on everyone's mind today. So it's going to be easy to do car sharing in-house, or even you want to be part of a transaction of another ecosystem. We will be able to enable this. Let's look at maintenance and upgrades. Different functions here. The upgrade. You're looking for additional power. You're looking for additional horsepower. You have 300 today. You would like to go to 350. In your setup, you have already chosen the way you want to pay. With an easy click, you can realize it and execute it. So overall, there are many functions. Schedule and service appointment, or check for any software updates that are available in there. Well, then we go to the shop. Accessories, individualization, roof racks, floor and seat protection, Send and Serve, City Life, pets and kids. So different product ranges, and also here the goal is not just to offer this for your Canoo, also to offer this for the other cars that are in your driveway. So let's have a look at those cars. Let's assume I have a Canoo, then my son Max has a pickup truck, and my wife drives a minivan. So let's have a look at Max's car. 25 miles per gallon, maybe a little heavy-footed here. But I see there's still gas in the tank, which is, I guess, a positive because I want to use it. And 7,600 miles to go to the next service. I go into special offers. I look at, in this case, insurance offers. We're all interested in, hey, is there a better deal out there for insurances? Monthly pay, or pay as you drive, pay how you drive. So there are different options there. Or channel the claim, the insurance claim, even through the app. So there are many different services we are really looking for to offer in this context. Go to tires for a second. Ramesh is an accountant by trade. He most likely will not buy the premium tire here, but I highly recommend to bundle it. Don't just buy 4 for the ones you need, buy 8 or buy 12 so you get a better deal. So we will have a chat afterwards, and I'm sure we'll be able to convince him. Again, this is to give you an idea and a first glance of what we envision to execute here. So why is this so important for us by the end of the day? It's a huge market. The single greatest opportunity for the automotive industry, monetizing data. And we want to be part of it, and we will be part of it. So the 5 takeaways from my presentation today. Number 1, our platform is in-house developed, harmonized, and 94% of our ECU units are over-the-air flashable. This gives us great flexibility, less workshop visits for the consumer, more uptime for the commercial customer, and it helps us managing costs for recalls, for warranty activities in general, and enables the customer to easily buy additional features, new features, or upgrade to a degree. And the Canoo ecosystem, number 4, manages your assets, creates transparency, convenience, and joy. By the end of the day, we want to build an entire business unit around this ecosystem and drive customer experience with data and software. That's from my end. Thanks for your attention and your time. It's my pleasure to hand over to our CFO, Renato. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Renato Giger. I'm the interim CFO of Canoo. And Tony mentioned we worked together for more than 15 years at Solera, where I was the public CFO. Although, as you can see, I have still more hair than my friend Ramesh. This is the last mission before I retire. Hence, this is the car I want to get. Let me talk about myself a little bit. I have more than 35 years of experience in finance. Yes, I know it's less than the 45 years of Frank. But the experience is not why I took this mission, which is to help building a successful, qualified finance team to execute successfully on Canoo being a public company. The reason why I took this mission is because it has a unique platform, it has a unique business model, and it has a lot of unique and very passionate people to make this journey successful. With that, Ramesh.
Thank you, Renato. Hello all, thank you for being here. My name is Ramesh Murthy. I'm the Chief Accounting Officer here at Canoo. I have over 15 years of finance and accounting experience, including over 10 years of experience working on the sidelines with Tony and Renato with their prior life. So let's talk about why I'm here. Just like everybody else, I also got the call. And I was evaluating the whole opportunity, and there were 2 key reasons that brought me here. Number 1, I have seen Tony on the sidelines, both as an auditor as well as a financial advisor. I believe what Tony can do, and he's here for the long run. Number 2, I worked on many SPAC companies prior to coming here. I know what SPAC companies go through, and it's a lot of challenge, and that is why I'm here to make Canoo, with Renato, the next best-in-class public company. All right. So let's take it a little bit about what do we do and how does our finance group run. We run a very tight shop, and there are 3 key mandates that we believe in. Number 1, discipline. What is discipline? Discipline to report numbers that have been gone through a lot of due diligence. We will make sure that's our foundation. And everything, be it internal, external reporting, is well thought through and reported carefully. 2, being transparent. So, listen, guys, we have to be, it's not always about the good news you share. You should have the timeliness reporting, even if it's a negative result. You heard what Tony did at Q4, came out, announced our, vision, change in vision. And then 3, I want to talk about stable. And what is stability? If I were to invest in a company, I would expect consistent, reliable reporting. And Tony mentioned before about the prior company where over 34 quarters of exceeding EBITDA and revenue projections. We want to take it further.
So I was part of that, right? People might know I'm from Switzerland. This needs to happen like a Swiss watch. It needs to be the same every quarter. Investors want to have stability because long-term value creation is something which we are in and our investors are in for. And that will also impact return on capital. And what is very important, that every day, with the discipline, we look to allocate capital in a very disciplined way, like we heard in the morning already with these 2 announcements.
Yeah. So every action of ours is focused on these 3 key missions. And that's how we want to function in this public company. All right. So let's take about what do we want to talk here today. Our goal will be to focus on our mandate as we walk through the journey of past, present, and the future. And listen, it's always important, at least for me as a finance individual, to make sure we understand the numbers from the past, trying to strategize or recalibrate the present and plan for the future. Let's talk a little bit about the past. Mark talked in detail about the subscription strategy. And when I got here, we were engaging with several third-party consultants, spent a lot of time thinking through the model. And we realized 2 key things about subscriptions: capital intensive and has mark-to-market risk. All right, next one, talk about contract engineering. The 2 key things about contract engineering is it's traditionally been a low margin proposition. And 2 is, you spend your time on contract engineering, why would, it always results in leakage of IP. So that's not something we wanted to focus on at this time.
Let's talk about the B2B delivery, right? You heard this morning many times that we do not only go from 1 vehicle, we go to multiple vehicles. And in addition to that, we add services for the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th owner. And Christian talked about the digital ecosystem.
Right. So again, going back to our mandate, why this was needed? Because that goes back to our mandate of discipline. You must do our due diligence before you decide to recalibrate and decide for the future. So from there, we obviously had talked about our capital. We reassessed about our capital allocation. And one of the things we really wanted to spend a lot of time thinking through is our digital innovation, which, Renato, you can.
As you see here, you heard before, right? The digital part of our business has the highest margin. And over these 15 years I've worked with Tony, in the past, we have been doing this for a long time. For every benefit the customer gets, we get our share back. Transaction-based, microtransaction-based business. And we have the experience, and we know how to do this going forward again.
Yeah. And listen, Christian kept pointing you to digital innovation, the opportunities it provides. And obviously I was brought in here, so let me just kind of put all of this in context to me. 4 weeks ago, when I was driving from home to Canoo, I had a hydroplaning incident. When I reached Canoo, I realized the tires in my thread were as clean as my head, meaning it was all balded out. So what did I do next? Renato asked me, hey, why didn't you change your tires? And the first thing I said, well, I did not know my tires needed a change. 2, I was busy working hard, trying to make sure, I was spending most of my time at the office, so I did not have time to buy these tires. And 3, the accountant in me wants to always get the best deal. So I wanted to go find where there was the tires providing me with the best deal. Let me replay the story back to you. What if I had a Canoo app that reminded me 3 months before the tires were due that a tire change was needed? 2, it gave me the best deal of the vendors around me. And 3, it also gave me a service option where someone would take my car, go to the service, change the tires, and bring it back. And that is the ecosystem we are talking about, where me, the customer, is benefited from all of these services. The vendor is benefited from the tire sale. And at the end of the day, even my wife is happy because I'm going back home, given my erratic driving habits. So all in all, this is the ecosystem that we are trying to create. It's critical, and the most important thing is this is coming with a very high return on capital, up to 80% margin.
So we heard really, really exciting news this morning from Tony about the state of Oklahoma and also with our contract manufacturer. Ramesh was talking about the discipline. So when we came in, we looked into the existing deal, which came from the SPAC proposal, and we just couldn't make it work. The figures didn't match where we needed to go. So as you can see here now, we get what I would say 2 for 1. With a little bit more money to spend, we get contract manufacturing, we get geographic expansion, and we get our own greenfield built manufacturing plant. Again, that's what you stand for: stability looking into, and the discipline and the right allocation of capital for where the highest returns are.
Right. And with all this keeping in mind, let me just clear what is out there in many people's mind. What you see here is the total cost to take our first vehicle to market, our lifestyle vehicle, $565 million. And to be very clear, we have sufficient cash to take us through SOP launch, which is Q4 of next year. All right. So we kind of took you through all our discipline and our mandate. Let's talk a little bit about how we want to engage with you. In the spirit of being transparent, we are going to offer a very unique solution or unique item to our stakeholder community. This is a model. In the next few weeks, we'll be rolling out a model, a financial model, where it's obviously going through some security and other issues, in the sense making sure it's tightly knit. But we'll talk a little bit about the model and what it will give you guys.
So what you will get is, after you go through access restrictions, you will get an input model. The input model allows you more than you can see here. This is just as an example. You can key in different cars, different trim levels, different number of cars over the different years, accessory revenue, and revenue from digital, from the digital ecosystem. After you keyed all that in, you will get a result which runs through our model as an output. Now this output, as you can see, does not make a lot of sense. This is just to show what kind of figures you will get back as a result after you key in your inputs.
Yeah. So again, just to wrap things up, we are running a very tight shop. We came out of a SPAC process, and our team is dedicated, going back to the 3 principal values being discipline, transparency, and stability. With that, we'll go ahead and give it back to Tony. Thank you.
So as you guys can see, it's always good to have Swiss people in the accounting department. So we've been very disciplined in all our company, that we built, about focusing in on the right TAM, the right product, big customer commitment, do more, and you can win the hearts, the minds of a family. That's, the ethos we operate under. With the investment community, we want to be super transparent and outperform. So that's, as you can see, the team is, moving quickly and coming together. That model will be available for everyone, and you can make your own assumptions, because again, we're only giving you projection on one part of the revenue model, so you can make your own assumptions accordingly. With that, we are going to move to some Q&A so I will stage up here to bring the management team that presented so that we can answer some questions. And then afterwards, we have some lunch for you guys, and you can visit more of the stations out there, talk to the team. And before I take those questions, I do want to thank the team for their hard work. Many of them worked through the night to stage this up real quick and get this available for you guys. So I'd really appreciate if you give this team a big round of applause. Okay, let's get set up for Q&A.
We will now begin our question and answer portion of the program. Please welcome Canoo VP of Communications, Agnes Gomez-Koizumi.
Hello, everyone. It's my pleasure to be here today. As we're getting set up, if you haven't submitted your questions already, I ask that you please do so. We'll be taking questions from the pre-submitted online, as well as in-person questions for those of you that were able to attend today. I'd like to invite Tony up, Mark Aikman, Christian Treiber, Ramesh, Renato, Pete, and Frank. All right. Well, I see that we have a question that's been submitted already. So, what kind of material does Canoo use for the body panels? Can you tell us what you think your top 3 differentiators are from other companies?
Pete, why don't you cover the steel piece?
Yeah, I mean, body panels are stamped steel. They're the most economic and provide the tightest and best fit and finish.
Excellent.
And then the next question from 3 differentiators, I think we'll kind of move through a couple things. I think one, I would say, we built this on a very sophisticated, integrated platform that allows us to meet a lot of use case demand. So I think that's one. 2, we're very fanatical about a customer's experience and the use of space. And then 3, we have 2 elements of our business model that are well thought through with very experienced people that know how to execute it digitally and bring a customer through a low friction environment. I think those are 3 things, but Christian, would you like to add anything?
No, I think that's where the ecosystem, I believe, on the base of the in-house developed platform will make a huge difference compared to other brands in the space today. Yeah.
I think that this might be an interesting one also for you, Frank, in terms of differentiators from other EV companies.
Our methods for manufacturing are built upon the traditions of the automotive industry, but also new innovations. And we're going to be differentiated not just in what we build, which is a lot of vertical integration, which always lowers costs if you do it properly. It reduces logistics, it reduces material on hand, but it also improves the quality reaction time. So we can always be differentiated from the competition in terms of being faster and better. The other thing that we do is the ability to make multiple models very quickly and launch them without a lot of time, a lot of money, and without any downtime. So that helps us to provide to the market, to the sales and marketing people, the quickest return from concept from Pete's team to sales and marketing.
Thank you, Frank. So our next question, how big of a piece of the business could your web ecosystem strategy be?
Yeah, so on this side of the equation, we look at the ecosystem of the web journey. If you think of the old system, you know, somewhere between 2 and 20% is really digital in the traditional stream, especially in the segments we're focused on. We're bringing that to 80% with a 20% interface, and at the right place where we have the human touch points. And we'll announce that very shortly in this next series of meaningful announcements. But the environment is just data-driven for us, right? So we've studied how customers experience the process, how many hours they spend, 11 to 14 hours doing looking for a car, and we want to bring that, and we want to certify that information, whether it's owner 1, 2, 3, or 4, so you get confidence. And we'll be sharing more about, you know, the power of a dynamic warranty system and the ability to really protect residual value for our customers. So more to come on that, but I would answer that for now.
Well, so moving on to the next question. Moving into production, what does Canoo leadership think will be the biggest challenge?
I'll take a bit of swing of that, and then Pete, maybe you and Frank can share. From my perspective, being appreciated for the thoughtful, long-term way we've looked at this. You know, there's lots of years of experience, as Frank shared, and of course Pete and others. A lot of us been in this business a long time. We understand it from many different angles, and I think you know, the biggest challenge will be appreciating what we do early. So we know we're going to show that over time, but the change in advanced manufacturing, it's coming. It has to, right? So I think we're just way ahead there, and the challenge will be to be recognized for it, and secondly, it will be to showcase it without revealing too much of our IP. So we're sensitive to that, and we'll share more. We're discussing how we do that now, but we're well underway, and we announced 2 big pieces of that today.
Right. Pete, do you have anything to add?
Well, I would just say that launch is always a challenge for any automaker, to launch with quality and launch on time, and having the data systems and the material systems there to do that. And it's one of the things we de-risked when we connected with VDL Nedcar, that we're really happy to announce today, that this is an experienced operating company in manufacturing, and while, you know, we're building out our capability for our North American site in Oklahoma, we're going to work with some real pros who have got the infrastructure functioning, and, you know, consistently they rate as one of the top plants in all of Europe by any manufacturer. So while launch is a challenge, we're happy to be paired with someone who's gone through it several times and have the ready infrastructure to support it, and that'll stand by us so that we learn and are able to apply for the extension of our manufacturing into Oklahoma.
And the last thing I would just add to that is that's why we brought down, having been around launches, the team, that's why we also brought down the unit delivery to 1,000 units in 2022, and then stepped up accordingly. So I think you'll see more of that from others as well.
Okay. And then,
yeah, I think challenge is good. It's not a problem. The greatest challenge in front of us is going to be fun. We're going to figure out how to build as many derivatives and models and options that anyone's ever done. And it sounds like it's difficult, but the more we can do, the more fun that becomes. It's a challenge, and like Pete says, launching the plant's a challenge, but all you can do is look ahead as much as possible, think about everything that could possibly go wrong and mitigate it. And it's a game. It's competing with yourself. It's a good thing.
Thanks, Frank. We actually have a question from our live audience here. Please go ahead.
John Murphy from Bank of America. Thanks so much for everything today. Tony, in addition to shifting the strategy very quickly to something that's a lot more realistic to the way it was, previously set up, you've attracted a great slate, and I'm not just saying this because you guys are here, of new management to really drive the ship forward. And the human capital component of this business is often, misunderstood, and you've really, kind of stepped it up here with what appears to be a very great team here. I mean, how do you think about human capital going forward and attracting them? Because, obviously the auto industry is sometimes, not something that, great human capital wants to go into, but there is a lot, available to you. I mean, the bench here is strong, but below them you're going to need a strong, strong bench as well to, execute on everything you're talking about. I mean, how are you going after that human capital attraction and deployment?
So that's a great question, and that's one of the reasons why you saw us announcing partnerships with universities, innovation, stimulation for the engineering team, and being connected to rolling, new PhDs coming into the system, sponsoring projects. But with the existing team, we're very engineering centric, and engineers, in the companies, we've always built companies that are highly technical. And so you got to be really geared towards them. And in our culture, we talk about every, $150,000, $200,000 is another engineer. So we really think about the money to invest in these people. In addition to that, to give them equity and commitment, but to give them innovative projects. This stimulates people to do a challenge that hasn't been done before, really smart technology, especially if you get your age mix right. You got to get your age mix right too, so that you can get knowledge transfer and creativity. And so I think we've done a good job. Pete's really been leaning on this as we look at our mix. But creating environments, facilities, we're very fanatical about the energy in the facility and the challenges, and that's how we're competing. In addition to that, we don't want to have leakage because we're doing contract work. It's not as motivating. It's not theirs. We're giving it to someone else. So I think we've done that. We've been scaling up. And if you look at us on a total head count from an engineering perspective against a lot of them, we're quite a bit deeper.
On actual capital in the plant in Pryor, how much is that going to take? What is the intended size of that facility, or capacity? What's the timeline of that being built? Just how are you thinking about that? I mean, it's great we're hearing this announcement. Capacity, capital commitment, ultimate goals for that plant.
Yeah. So that is a high volume site. That's why it's called the Mega Microfactory. And we'll announce the total capacity that it can run, but it can run multiple shifts. It's a high volume plant, so it'll be excess of 150,000 units capable. But we haven't, taken the staged approach to how much manufacturing we'll do. It takes about 18 months. That particular site, one of the criterias we focused on was minimal amount of work for the pad. The pad development on these sites is pretty heavy, and this infrastructure is there. Of course, Google's there. It's got one of their largest tech centers. So we tried to figure out the infrastructure roads, the access, the rail, all those things. So we think we'll be on target with our 18 months to get it opened up and running. And of course, that's why the VDL Nedcar was a two-phased approach, as we announced earlier, is because we want to kind of debug on that 1,000, so we're quickly lifting over and being able to geographically expand. The VDL Nedcar guys can also go to 100,000. So we don't have capacity constraints. In every business we've done, we always think that we plan to be conservative, we execute to make sure we don't create waste, but we make sure we have a back end that can grow beyond anything we've quoted. So we put that structure in place. In addition to that, we're only dealing with construction firms that can do projects at scale, at speed. If you look at that area we're in of the United States, some of the best construction companies are right in there. So we've been working through all that already.
And I'm sorry, a rough guesstimate on capital commitment for that plant at this point, and maybe subsidies you're getting from Oklahoma too, because it's great to see the government here. I'm sure they're helping out.
Yeah, they are. So they're putting up quite a bit of money. Obviously, the package is over $300 million, of which about a third of that comes in within the first 36 months. So, and then the rest of it is based on that. We did some things that we didn't announce that we're very proud of that we were going to announce separately, but I'll share it here, is that one of the things with the governor and I being very focused on veteran workforce, and they put extra incentives in there. Alec negotiated this so that we want to bring our workforce there up to 10% at minimum of veterans, and the state kicks in millions more for us. In addition to that, you know, the University of Oklahoma, you saw the president here from there. I mean, they're going to be working with us on projects. So, you know, we're being very conservative about the capital we've done, but if you think of it, it's non-dilutive capital for our shareholders. It's great. And they are, Scott's in the room here, they have just been, you know, very focused on the success of the business. And we'll work together with them. But that's how we've done that. And then, of course, we'll be using the right capital mix. Obviously, land comes with the deal, everything. So it's a pretty good deal. And most importantly, it's for the long haul. So we feel good about that. And then the type of capital we'll raise for the other components, you know, will be, you know, long-term, you know, good instrument stuff that's non-dilutive as possible.
Okay. Thank you for that question. So the next question that we have comes from those that are watching at home. Do you expect to make a margin on the initial sale of your vehicles, or will the profitability come from the subsequent owners and associated margin?
So I'll speak on this, Mark, maybe you want to chime in too, but our view is customer acquisition of the first owner is super important. You know, we're going to price to win. And because we believe we can penetrate the household, we've proven that we can. The money is helping the consumer, so we want to get share. And you know, the way we engineered the vehicle, we know we didn't have the volume to price, so we didn't compromise any quality, but we tried to get rid of legacy parts. We'll continue to do that. And in addition to that, you know, we're very focused on making sure nobody can beat us in that categories that we want to go to get people in. And then from there, make money across the journey of the multiple owners.
Yeah, I think you said it really well, Tony. I mean, I think one of the exciting parts of Canoo is we are trying to bring the EV to everyone, right? And that means launching products that have accessible price points that open up EVs to people that formerly have been priced out of them. And I think the offerings that we'll offer for upgrades, accessories, offer a tremendous amount of profitability opportunity for Canoo. And Tony's mentioned, you know, these products are built for the long haul. It's not just about launching one vehicle. It's about everything that comes with the value proposition.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the other part of that equation is just making sure that, you know, we're in the most profitable segment. As you saw in my presentation, we targeted the highest margin area of the business on the sales side as well. So we've got room, and then the other two legs of the business, you know, really build. And, you know, nobody really can say, hey, you know, as the vehicle goes from owner to owner, my return on capital goes up. This is the first model. If you really build a model around this, you'll see a very different cash profile. And of course, margin profile as well. So it's really, though, right now we want share. So we, you know, like Amazon and others, you know, we're pricing to win.
Right, great, thanks for that. So the next question, also from somebody watching online. Currently, Canoo offers 250 miles in range. Will the range increase in the future?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Range is a super important attribute of any electric vehicle, and that's where we're starting. But battery technology, as everyone knows, is increasing on an annualized basis. Over the last 3 decades, it's 8% compound per year if you do that. So we have expectations that within the same form factor that you'll see out there, that there will be increases over time. Range is also a big function of vehicle efficiency, and so bigger vehicles, less aerodynamic vehicles don't quite go as far. However, our product concept for a battery, we can make larger modules, and I think you may have seen that alluded to in the video that played when Tony talked about a larger commercial-sized battery, and with that we can take the energy up about 30% over the current energy that we have on the vehicle, and that'll have a proportional increase in range. And so that's in the pipeline, that's in the MPP, and that's part of the flexibility that the platform and the battery system give us.
Thank you. So this is a really great question we have. Is Canoo actively pursuing government contracts like UPS truck replacement or other opportunities?
I mean, we're working with partners on certain things to, look at where we play. We have multiple layers of technology here and innovation that we can partner with third parties as well as go to those customers on our own. So we're looking at all the deals. We're timing that just right to their cycle of product requirements and delivery against our schedule. So, of course, we are. And somebody also asked another question about, will we offer personal mobility products such as an e-bike or an e-skate that will plug into the vehicles? And I would just say to any innovative company out there, that's a platform. And if you've got a product that can make the journey for our customers better, reach out to us. I mean, if we haven't spotted you, reach out to us.
Great. So I think that a lot of you are probably wondering about this. The next question is, the Ford Lightning F-150 is getting a lot of attention, and the base model is being advertised at about $32,000. What's the base pricing for our pickup?
So we are not prepared to announce, this is one of those things where we wanted to time our pricing as well, but we're not going to be beaten in this category. We're just not.
And everybody who's here, you'll be able to see our pickup if you haven't already. And for those of you that are joining us remotely, we'll also have some footage of that for you to see as well. So the next question's for Tony. Tony, in your presentation, you talked about the larger OEM industry. How and when do you see consolidation playing out?
Well, look, I mean, there's always the old oligopoly, the new oligopoly, and that's formed by some consolidation. It's an arms race. That's why we put the structure we have together so that we can actually, have everything in the back so that we can place as high in that chain as possible. I mean, the future is not defined now. It's the big fight's coming. 2025 is a big point in this industry, and I think the technology's changed so much that there'll be new things, but consolidation will happen. For those of you that know me, I mean, I like to buy companies. I don't like to be bought as much, but in any case, we're very focused on what are the critical pieces we see over time, because we know how to do that, and we'll look at that. But it's going to happen. I mean, last night at dinner, some people were talking. We were talking about how many LiDAR companies, how many this and that. I mean, innovation finds its place, and companies find their niche. And then consolidation occurs. We've been in this business a long time, so we've seen it. But we are very focused, and I think we've transacted north of $5 billion in transactions in the automotive space in consolidation moves. So we got a good team, good corp dev. We know how to access the capital markets, and we're focused on very accretive things, not just from a pure financial profile, but from a technology win profile.
Great. Okay, so the next question, sort of a follow-up here to one earlier, is Canoo also working with rideshare companies or looking to do so?
I mean, we don't comment on our customer discussions, but Obviously, the platform kind of speaks for itself, I think. Mark, do you want to add anything there?
Yeah, I mean, I'd just add that I think we are probably the most transparent company I've seen in the EV space on reporting that sales pipeline that I brought you through today, from the active customers and their potential fleets that we're having conversations with, the non-binding commitments that we showed today, and of course the signed commitments that will be binding without a refundable deposit. So you will get a tremendous amount of transparency from Canoo. We showed it to you today, and you can expect it in our next earnings call to update those numbers as a core cadence.
Great. And the next question that we have is, when will Canoo be available in Europe?
So that's part of the VDL Nedcar deal for us, is Europe actually leaps in on adoption quicker, particularly in our product lineup segment. And so the VDL Nedcar, and then of course drive-by-wire, brake-by-wire, the harmonized and articulated element here allows us to homologate much easier, faster, and better, and of course we can distribute. So obviously we will do that, and we will announce that. But that's one of the tenets of the whole structure of that deal, so it's coming soon. We're launching in 22, fourth quarter here, and we may be able to introduce some units into Europe shortly thereafter.
Exciting. This is a really great question, so it's sort of an SDK question, but will Canoo release a template for wrap designers?
Well, actually, Richard would be the best person to have answered that question. But I would say if you look at the body style, Richard and his team have really thought through like all of the creativity that can go. And so you've seen some wrap designs already of art. We see it as a canvas. We want people to be able to use it. When Richard and I talk about it, we always talk about like give people the ability to advertise their businesses in a very cost-effective way. So make it easy, make it low cost to wrap, and so I'd say yes, and I'll make sure that Richard posts some of his views on this.
Great. So the next question is, will there be a chance to decrease the time to market or speed up the Canoo pickup truck?
So that's a constant positive violence session in the company between engineering and go-to-market and customer demand. Obviously, we won't compromise anything. Our confidence, we are conservative. So we're working on that, but we're going to stay with our positions as we've slotted them for now. And then once we get the factory and we feel really good about the scale, how we can break through, then we'll announce. We really want to be the company that doesn't have to make you wait 6 extra months. I mean, that's just not our game. That's going to impact us. And so we're well balanced in making the right decisions.
Right. So the next question is about supply chain, and in particular, can we discuss supply chain constraints?
Sure. At least I'll contribute that the supply chain is tight, and certain elements like tool steel, we've noticed that that's become pacing items in some areas as we ramp up our tooling for gamma and production, but it's not an overriding constraint. If we go a little deeper, I made mention of our electrical architecture, and in the talk a little earlier how we've purposefully consolidated into a narrower set of chips and just less parts overall. The less you have to buy, the less exposed you are to constraints from any particular company. And to the extent we can remediate the relationship with folks who are running late, it's easier to manage when we can put more resources on fewer suppliers. And so we've purposely made our electrical system narrower in terms of number of main microprocessors. Most of the vehicle controllers are designed around a family from one supplier of 4. And so it's really that relationship with one supplier rather than trying to maintain relationships with a much larger. So It's an acknowledged issue, at least at this time in the industry, that some companies are struggling with. We're less exposed to that, and we're in better position to remediate it.
In addition to that, as a additional safety step in this, as the supply chain heals itself from the pandemic impacts and the fire and so on, we've also, our volume projections of the 1,000 and the 15,000 are weighted for that. In addition to that, we've been very focused with VDL Nedcar on what can actually be procured, and they own businesses in the electrical side as well. So we've mitigated that as much as possible. We have high confidence on the number we've put forth. It's lining up well with the first batch of orders we'll accept. And so I think we've mitigated that. Now, if another catastrophe hits in or a second wave, that is a concern for us. And so we're trying to lock everything to the last part. We're about 80% sourced at this point in time. Pete, how far?
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. So we're winding down our Q&A portion. I have one last question before we have to break for the next portion. And the question is, it looks like you've been busy building out your senior management team. What open slots are you still looking to fill?
So internationalizing the team. Look, if you study us, we all have histories in building international companies, as you can get really good scale. So we have more areas. We want more strength in Pete's team, in Richard's team, Sohail's team. We're very engineering focused on our positions. We try to keep management as flat as possible, tech intensive. In addition to that, more people on the cybersecurity side of software and customer journey. And then, of course, if you build a great product, you don't need as many salespeople. But we keep talking about what's the right balance there, and then the commercial guys that are focused on the whole journey of return on capital for fleets. Those are the areas that are key for us right now.
Well, thank you for that, and thank you everyone on the stage for your answers, and thank you everyone who submitted questions, whether you were online or here. That concludes our presentation portion for our Investor Relations Day today. We are going to be moving on to the tour section now, which I hope you can stay and participate in. When you signed up and joined us here at the facility, you were given your name tag. And on your name tag, there is a colored dot. And those dots are representing the different groups you'll be in. So I'd ask that, the yellow group, if your dot is yellow, move to this side of the room. If it's green, that side of the room. Red over to the other corner, and then blue over here. And we'll have our tour guides meet you there. Thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you in our next portion.
Thank you, everyone.
Hi, and welcome. My name is Deb Burke, and I'm in charge of the Battery Systems Group here at Canoo. I've spent the last 20 years working in the battery industry. Fortunate to start my career in Detroit at a Tier 1 battery system supplier, delivering battery packs to General Motors and the likes. Starting off my career in Detroit served as a good foundation for the electric vehicle startup environment that I'm in today, where we have the opportunity to design a battery pack from the ground up. And I'm really excited to share with you today what we've been working on over the past few years. But before we get started, I'd like to provide a brief overview of the typical approach for battery packs, and that is packaging the modules inside big, bulky enclosures. As you can see here, with the Canoo pack, we don't have that enclosure. That saves us roughly 40 kilograms, enabling us to get upwards of 200 watt-hours per kilogram in specific energy. This design is functionally and structurally integrated, helping with the vehicle overall performance. Now, how did we do that? With this battery module right here. This is in-house designed by the talented battery team at Canoo. It is compact and modular, which means it's scalable across multiple battery pack configurations. This is important for leveraging economies of scale and streamlining high volume production. The battery module is comprised of 3 major subsystems: the cell, the cold plate, and the interconnect board, or ICB. The cell we source from one of the largest reputable battery companies on the globe. And here's the cold plate. Also happens to be Canoo's first patent issued. It is novel for its structural and mechanical integrity. The cells are glued inside the cold plate, and the design is agnostic to the vendor, meaning we can buy this battery cell as long as it's in the 2170 format. We can buy this battery from any supplier on the globe. This is also important for being able to grow with battery technology as it evolves. The design is very flexible. The interconnect board is the power distribution array responsible for putting the cells in their parallel and series configuration. The ICB is laser welded to the cell can. You might have seen it in the video clip behind me. In Torrance, on our pilot production battery line, we developed this technology, and all of this technology is carried over to our mass production battery line equipment. On the table in front of me, we have 2 pedigrees of parts, and you can see the improvements and the advancements we've made in just a short few years. This is the beta cold plate compared to the gamma cold plate. We went from a 4-part assembly down to a single part with a proprietary insulative coating. This is the ICB improvement. We have a larger assembly, so our BOM cost went down and the BOM number of components went down. We went from a dual layer design to a single layer design. There are 16 of these battery modules in the battery pack, along with other critical sub-functions, which include the coolant system, the high voltage bus bars, and the battery management system, and the brackets. The brackets are what are attached to the battery modules. So the brackets plus the cold plate provide that structure and stiffness required to meet the rigor of the vehicle crash requirements. The bolted connection is important, as that enables our serviceability. You can appreciate the size of this battery module compared to our competitor's battery module. To service this, we simply lower the battery pack out of the vehicle and unbolt the battery. This level of serviceability is roughly 1/3 the replacement cost compared to our competitors. You can see the difference in size. This is important because it gives back to the consumer in the form of reduced replacement and repair cost. Thank you very much. My team and I have been very excited to work on this for the past few years, and more excited to see it integrated into the multi-purpose platform for our high volume production vehicles.
Welcome everybody, my name is Charlie Garmel. I'm in charge of the powertrain engineering team here at Canoo. My background is in transmission design and development for helicopters, and I had the opportunity to work on some clean sheet designs in which I was able to break down some barriers in that aerospace industry and work on some new products. With that, I had the opportunity to join Canoo and break down some of those legacy barriers in the automotive industry. What I have in front of me is one of those barriers. What you have here is a 350 horsepower motor. That's literally millions of these have been sold, and they're in very many cars throughout the US auto fleet. In front of us is our Canoo drive unit, and you can see the sheer size difference between these 2 parts. The internal combustion motor weighs approximately 650 pounds, where ours weighs 200. One of the opportunities that we have here at Canoo is that we're able to take that weight savings and give it right back to the user in terms of mass, efficiency, and packaging space. Some of the other things I'd like to point out are the complexity of this system against ours. We've dropped the part counts significantly, and we think that with a lower part count becomes a higher durable and more reliable system. I'd also like to point your attention here to these 10 liters of oil in front of this system. It takes 10 liters of oil to fill and run this system You also have to change that oil every service interval for that internal combustion system. But here at Canoo, we've designed our drive unit to set it and forget it. So we fill our oil at the factory, and you never have to change that throughout the life cycle of the vehicle. Here at Canoo, we have intellectual property throughout the drive unit. So we have a 3-in-1 system. What that means is that we've packaged the power electronics, the electric motor, and the gearbox all in one confined system. And we've done that for a couple different reasons. The first is packaging space, and we'd like to give as much of that space that's normally take internal combustion engine back to the user. And this engine here weighs approximately 650 pounds, where ours weighs 200. So in terms of volume and mass, we're able to give that back to the user and give it back to the occupant in terms of range and packaging space and just that overall flat skateboard architecture and open feeling in the vehicle. So I talked a little bit about the power electronics, and I'd like to just discuss one of the early on packaging decisions that we made with this drive unit. We decided to package our power electronics directly mounted to the drive unit here. It allows us to get rid of some costly components throughout the system and really provides that small, dense, power dense system in the vehicle for us. Let's talk about some of the components here. So what I have in front of me is the bar wound stator. It's a oil-cooled system and the permanent magnet rotor assembly. So when these two are combined together, they make up the Canoo electric motor. This motor was designed in-house. We do have intellectual property and patents on this particular system, as well as others around the system. It's something the team has worked very hard on, and we're very proud of the internal design capabilities here at Canoo. As we kind of progress through the line here, I'd like to show you some of the other components in the system. So here at Canoo, we design all of our castings and gear system in-house. The sum of these components make up a 9-to-1 reduction ratio for the transmission that we run here in our rear drive unit. This system is a modular design, so we're able to package and protect for some of the different vehicles and top hats that will be on top of that multi-purpose platform. We think that having a modular and scalable transmission system, motor, and 3-in-1 drive unit affords us some opportunities in the marketplace in the future. So I'd just like to point out some of the kind of intricate details around this particular system, where we have our differential assembly, our intermediate assembly, and the rotor shaft that you see there, which makes up our rotor assembly. One of the technologies we're most proud of here at Canoo is our internal oil cooling for the hairpin wound stator. As we direct cold jet lubricant over the hairpins in the stator, we're able to package industry-leading power dense design that's 13% more power dense than our leading competitors. Thanks for spending the time with us today. Here at Canoo, we're really excited to show you what's next and package this drive unit into our multi-purpose platform.
Hello everybody, my name is Minu Shah. My responsibility at Canoo is in charge of crash safety and occupant protection. I have been in this field for over the last 45 years. I have worked at Ford Motor Company, that's where I started my safety career. Then I worked about 13 years at General Motors, 12 years at Delphi, then about 4 years in India for one of the Indian manufacturer. When I came back, I joined Tesla, and I was responsible there for the Model 3 crash safety. And in 2018, this exciting opportunity came up, and I was so excited to do something totally ground up with the new technology. So I joined Canoo in 2018. Now, let me explain what we did and what is our philosophy. Our philosophy here is to protect, number one, to protect the occupant of the vehicle. Number two, to maintain the integrity of the occupant compartment. And number three is to maintain the safety of the electrical battery, because these are high voltage battery. In order to do all these things, we conducted over 12,000 virtual simulations in various configurations, including some real world scenarios. And then we built the beta vehicles. We crash over dozen crashes using the beta vehicle. Beta properties are very expensive. So each vehicle we use twice, which I'm going to show you here. Before we get into the beta, we went and used the subsystem level testing. And that's what I'm showing you here. So these are like crush cans, we call it. These are mounted to the platform and bolted on. So in an unfortunate event, if there is an accident, a fender bender kind of thing, it can crush, you can unbolt it and remove it and throw it out and replace with the new one. So this is the frontal crush can. In front, they absorb about 80% of the crash energy. This is the side crush can. And interesting thing here is, we developed this is our invented, patented technology. We developed this thing in-house, and we tested a lot of subsystem component level, straight crush. This represents like car is skidding and impacting into a pole or tree, and whether it absorbs the enough energy or not. These crush cans are packaged into the side rocker area. This is unique to the auto industry, and I'll explain it to you in a little more detail. So this particular vehicle you are seeing here is a 35 mile per hour frontal crash vehicle, which is used for the calculating the US NCAP star rating. And same vehicle was turned around on the right-hand side and impacted with 38.5 mile per hour side moving barrier, which represents our car is trying to make a turn and other car is coming and hitting into us. This is about 5 mile per hour greater test speed than actual regulation test. Both of these test condition goes into the US NCAP star rating calculation. Based upon all the testing we have done and all the crash testing we have done and virtual crashes, we are anticipating to get 5-star overall US NCAP rating. So as you can see, the structural compartment integrity was very well maintained in this crash. And even the vehicle is still rolling after the crash, 2 crash tests. Now, let me show you dynamically what happened here. In this particular scenario, the frontal crash, 35 mile per hour, and in this particular is the side crash. In the overview, you can see occupant hardly moves. See, occupant went into the airbag and just rebounded. And in the next shot, you will be able to see another philosophy which we have is to maintain the integrity of the battery. The yellow part is the battery compartment, was intact. So now let me show you what I meant by structural integrity of the occupant compartment. In this particular vehicle, look at the floor pan. On the impact side, side impact side, there was hardly any wrinkle into the floor pan. The entire seat integrity was maintained. Typically in this kind of a crash, the deformation gets up to the seat and seat gets deformed. In our case, there was no deformation of the seat or seating area. Thank you very much for your attention, and I hope you learn a little more about our vehicle and our philosophy, what I explained in the video here.